Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfold, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of Highway 121 in McKinney, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting that like button as well as following me on Instagram at Growfold. Would love to connect with all of our plant foldies. And if you're new to this channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. So today is a beautiful morning and I wanted to see what plants we have at a big box store like Lowe's. I wanted to see what outdoor plants we have as well as those indoor tropical plants. Super excited to show you this. And you know, filming in the morning, I'm based out in North Dallas. It is a little bit more bearable because the temperatures are not quite 100 degrees yet, but you can see that this Lowe's actually has quite a bit of plants. For some of the big box stores that I've visited, especially at Walmart in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it looks like a lot of these Walmarts are actually downsizing some of their plants, but it looks like at least for the Lowe's that I've visited, they've got quite a bit of plants both outdoors and indoors as well. So I'm excited about that. And you can see right here, plant foldies, we do have a variety of succulents and also these flowering plants like the vinca plants. Here are a bunch of these aloes. And you know, what's exciting about these plant shopping videos is I've been able to do these mostly on a daily basis. So if you like daily plant shopping videos, definitely hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on. But for those that have been following my journey for the last year or close to about half a year, I really appreciate it. I utilize a lot of these plant shopping videos as more of like a personal blog as well. So I'll be able to talk to you about what's going on with my personal life and just all of the plant commentary. I've seen quite a bit of plant foldies on the live premiere chats, and that's something that draws me to you guys is the fact that we do have a plant foldy community. And what's really exciting is as we look at all of these beautiful plants is PlantCon 2024 in Dallas is almost here. August 31st, September 1st. So I am super excited to be meeting a lot of the plant foldies here, both local and out of state. I don't have quite all of the details, but if you see me wearing a Growfolds t-shirt, you know that's me. And I will be having some Growfolds t-shirts on sale for you guys as well. So if you're interested, let me know. I might have some giveaways and things like that. But I'm thinking if we are going to do a meetup, our central point should be at PETA's Planters booth. Now, if you haven't seen my PETA's Planters plant shopping videos, that is one of my favorite small businesses in the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area. I featured their plant shop, which is amazing. PETA is going to be there. So I figured why not just go ahead and meet up at that booth. It'd be an easy place to meet everybody or a central place where we can all just kind of congregate. I did want to also put out there that I will be filming tons of videos. And so if you are a plant foldie that wants to be in a cameo or wants to be interviewed by me and be featured in a plant video, please let me know in the comment section, or we can talk about it when I see y'all. But anyways, let's go back to the plants. So as you can see on a beautiful morning, we've got a bunch of these heat tolerant plants. So I've featured a couple of the flowering plants. There's a bunch of these tropical plants. We've got a bunch of hibiscus. Now we've got this really interesting Mexican bird of paradise. It's got an interesting texture to the leaves, but what I really like is also the blooms. Really like the look of it in the Philippines, and that's exactly where my family is from. The leaves look like what they call malunggay or moringa leaves, so that's always something that's kind of reminiscent about that. I tend to make references to the Philippines just because I recently came back from a vacation there, and when I tell you that plants in their native tropical environments, they show such beauty, such just care that you don't necessarily have to put in them because the environment and the climate alone is the natural plant care. But it's nice to see that they have quite a bit of plants at a big box store. So my thoughts on big box store plant shopping is obviously you'll find a variety of many easy to care for plants that are priced affordably, and then there's just so many supplies like planters, fertilizers, and things like that. So I will be talking about that as I pan around here, but you can see that this Lowe's tends to still have quite a bit of plants available. Like right here, we've got a European fan palm. Really like the look of that, and you can see that the price is not that bad for a European fan palm. The only thing about palms in general is their care is that they do require quite a bit of light. So if you can't provide the light, it's really challenging to grow them indoors. And depending on your grow zone, like my grow zone is 8B. Some of these palms may not be able to grow in the landscape because we do have very cold winters. We have some really hard freezes, and that's just not really conducive to like a tropical plant. So you just have to look at your grow zone. Now, if you are in a grow zone that's a little bit more tropical, like Florida, then that's a different story. But you can see here so many interesting little cactus as well. Like, look at this cactus. It's super like fuzzy. It looks like there's a bunch of like spider webs. What fascinates me about cactus is not only do they come in many different varieties, I like the textures, and I also like the blooms that these cactus and succulents produce. You can see over here, we do have quite a bit of succulents. We've got some mixed planters, and I do have 3 succulents in my plant collection, 2 Aeoniums, which are really pretty looking succulents, and I have a variegated jade bonsai that I made that's doing very well. The variegated jade bonsai is actually outside growing in full sun, and it's doing very well. The other 2 succulents are actually placed in a west facing window in my my master bedroom. So that's, you know, something that can give them a lot of light. I made the mistake of actually planting growing a bunch of succulents in full direct sun, south facing. They ended up just burning. So there is an acclimation period even for like full sun plants. That's something that I learned. But plant foldies, as you can see here, we've got quite a bit of lantana hanging baskets, and pretty much every single plant shopping video, if I'm, you know, featuring outdoor garden plants, you will see lantanas. Love lantanas. And then right over here, we've got some Zora plants. So these are tropical flowering shrubs. They definitely need to be in more of a tropical climate. Now, if you're going to grow them in my grow zone, like in North Texas, those would need to be in a planter with the potential overwintering. So meaning if you want to try to keep them alive past winter, you're going to need to have them in a container that you can bring indoors under a grow light. But you can see over here, they still have some of these Rodeo oyster plants, and I love pink plants. I love dark foliage plants, and I definitely love neon plants. So I will be showing you a lot of neon plants as well. But this Rodeo oyster plant is kind of like succulent in a sense, the texture of the leaves. Beautiful purple undersides, and I just really like the look of that. Now, it is a little bit more versatile in terms of where it can be in terms of lighting. It can be grown in the shade or in full sun, or at least that's what it is for me. And you can see here, look at this massive spider plant. Look at all the little babies that has produced. I find that so cool, and that's another plant that I have not quite added to my plant collection. I've seen it, I wanted to buy it, I just haven't really committed to it. And then here is a variegated boat lily. Love this as well. This is a nice plant because look at how beautiful the variegation is. This one needs to be in full sun, or at least quite a bit of light, for it to really have that amazing variegation. I had some of the pieces kind of break off, but they're easy to propagate. I was able to just get them in water, and that was easy to just get them to propagate some roots. So that's really cool. And this isn't a Grow Folds plant shopping video unless I feature a cordyline plant. This one is for $19.98. I love the look of cordyline plants. Some people try to grow them indoors, but they are very susceptible to spider mites. I wish I could honestly grow them successfully indoors. I've tried, they've gotten spider mites. So it's really a plant that needs to be outdoors. Now, in a tropical country like the Philippines, they were literally growing in the wild, in the jungle, on the sides of the roads, with no plant care, and they were absolutely stunning. So that's what makes me a little bit envious of, you know, tropical climates, especially if you love tropical house plants. You know, we talk about plants being house plants or indoor plants, but any plant that you see that is being grown indoors in a house had to come from some source, most likely in a tropical area. But again, that is the thing about making plants, you know, a plant collection. You've really got to look at the way you I guess the environment that you're going to place the plants. And what I mean by that is your lighting conditions, the amount of time you can provide, the humidity levels, the quality of water, all of that really factors into your plants, whether a plant is a climbing plant, if it needs some type of moss pole, or if it is a trailing plant, a plant that likes to crawl. There's so many things that we all have to learn for us to really be able to grow plants successfully, as well as the pot. Like these pots right here, my favorite pot is that pot that I picked up. Terracotta pots are amazing, but what's interesting about terracotta pots is they tend to dry out the soil or the substrate a little bit faster because it doesn't really hold the moisture. For me, that's not necessarily the best kind of pot because I don't really water my plants consistently. It is something I've talked about in so many of my videos, and it sounds like a basic plant care tip, but at the same time, when you have a very busy job and you're running around filming, plant shopping videos, sometimes the plants get neglected. I felt guilty at times in terms of just how the plants ended up suffering because of my negligence in my plant care. But it's something that I want to share with the plant folding community. I just really feel like we see a lot of plant shopping videos, plants on Instagram, plants on social media, and some of these people have perfect plants collection. I'll tell you that no plant collection is perfect. We are not perfect by any means, so it's okay to have some plants make it to plant heaven. That's just kind of my opinion about it. And then in terms of just the products I use, so I use Super Thrive. That is always a good B vitamin solution you can put for plants that are stressed, for plants that you've just potted up or repotted. I recently imported plants from Green Spaces ID, and I use that as a solution to really rehydrate and de-stress the plants. These Scott's Bloom Booster is another fertilizer I use for blooming plants. I love Osmocote. That's really one of the best types of slow release fertilizers that really ensures that the plant gets the proper nutrients. Because when you think about it, just watering the plant may not be enough to really get the vigor or just the plant growth that we all desire. We do need to supplement it with some fertilizer. Like this one right here is a shake and feed one. Now I buy that actually at Costco in a big bowl, and I put it out in my outdoor section, but I also mix it in my soils that I custom make. I also use Miracle Grow Quick Start. That's really whenever I am potting up some of my water propagations. It really helps get the roots going. And then this is my all-purpose fertilizer. That is the fertilizer I use on a weekly basis for my plants, sometimes bi-weekly, twice a week. It's a really mild fertilizer, but it's enough to give it a boost. Now for my plants that are growing hydroponically, I put just a little tiny trace amount in the water, and I feel like that's enough nutrients for the plant. Now, as far as sphagnum moss for propagations and my moss poles, I use this sphagnum moss. Really, it's really for the orchids. And then I use orchid bark. I also use horticultural perlite. Perlite is amazing. That's something that you should probably put in your soil, custom soil mixes, because it helps the soil drain a little bit faster. Fast draining soil is really key, especially if you're growing plants indoors in a pot. You never really want your roots to sit in a lot of water unless it's one of those plants that is a very thirsty plant. In general, especially when it comes to philodendron or anthuriums and things like that, you want to make sure that they have some really good soil that has some aeration. Now we're going to walk into the indoor section right here. This is actually one of my favorite Lowe's, just because they tend to have plants always being restocked. Like you can see right over here, this is a live transplanter with an air plant, and then you can see that there's just a lot of really cool modern looks. Like, look at this an elephant here. I really like the look of just the planter. Hands down, Live Trends is probably the best and most stylish looking planters. It always brings me joy because my plant aesthetic, when it comes down to it, is I really like modern, contemporary, very clean lines, very neutral colors, just simplicity, because I want plants to really be the feature, not the pot. Now over here, we do have a clearance bromeliad here. This is actually a pretty one. The thing, my opinion about clearance plants is these are called rescue plants. Please rescue me. When I started doing plant shopping videos, I always thought about, trying to rescue every single clearance plant, but there are some cons about like rescuing clearance plants. And number one, it's really the plant pests that are probably lurking. Whenever a plant is not the healthiest, it tends to invite pests. And then also the rehabilitation portion of a clearance plant, because most clearance plants are put on clearance because they've really gotten unhealthy. So if you're willing to invest in rescue plants, more power to you. You just have to know exactly what you're dealing with when you're bringing a clearance plant. Now, this is a stunning looking Marantha Silver Band by Urban Jungle. So Urban Jungle is another I guess nursery or plant supplier that I love. They have this new hanging basket planter. Really like the look of it. And I just recently got me a Silver Band Marantha from a local grocery store called HEB for only $5. And I remember that Marantha is quite uncommon, or was quite uncommon a couple years back. And then over here is a Philodendron Heteroraceum. This one is a Costa Farms Trending Tropicals hanging basket for $20.98. Now, I found a similar one by Urban Jungle at a local grocery store called Kroger for $12.99. I'm actually tempted to purchase it because I love the heart-shaped leaves of a Philodendron Heteroraceum. They also call it a cordatum. I'm not sure what the difference is. So plant foldies, if you're the expert, let me know. And then this is another plant that was labeled as a collector's plant. So I'm not sure if this is a plant that's uncommon, rare, or whatnot. But what's interesting about it is it does have an interesting leaf texture. And then also the stems are fuzzy. There's just a lot going on with this plant. I also love the purple undersides of the leaves. That's the thing about leaf interest and leaf colors. That's the reason why there are certain plants that just have a lot of leaf interest, and that's the reason why people plant them. And then you can see right here, this is a Peperomia BB. So it almost looks like a lipstick plant. It is nice and lush. This is another hanging basket for $20.98. Now, as far as an easy care plant, I would always recommend Peperomias. They do require bright indirect light, fast draining soil, water when the soil is completely dry, and you are good to go. Now over here is a red Marantha. So we saw the Silver Band Marantha. Now here is the red Marantha, and look at how beautiful the leaves are. Like, I always look at just the details. It doesn't even look like a real leaf. It reminds me of like bird feathers. Something about this plant is really just stunning. It's just very elegant in the way the patterns look. And my thing about Maranthas is, while it's related to like maybe Calatheas and Stromanthus, Thenanthes, it is one of the more forgiving plants. It's also known as a prayer plant. And then check out this tropical cactus. So this is a dogtail cactus. Really interesting one, also for $20.98. This is also by Costa Farms. And I'll tell you, Costa Farms plants, Costa Farms is really one of the premier big box store providers. I am so thankful for Costa Farms being able to provide us with some of these uncommon exotic plants, because they made it more accessible to just a plant lover like yourself. Like, if they didn't have that available, some of these plants would actually be quite expensive. But as I pan away here, look at how beautiful and full that this area is. I mean, they actually had to use a table to go ahead and place all of these hanging baskets. And that's the reason why I am always in a big box store. Like right here, look at this Dischidia. This is a cool looking Dischidia. And while it's not the variegated form, something about Dischidias also are endearing to me. I don't have any Dischidias in my plant collection. There's so many plants I want to add to my plant collection, but I have been able to at least get some of my plant collection under control. This is a it's a struggle for me. Plant care. It can be a struggle for me. As much as I know about plants, how they always say you can give advice or tips, but sometimes it's best to learn to actually like follow your tips. That is something that I will say I need to do a little bit better. Like, I know what I need to do with my plants, but it's a matter of am I actually executing the plant. So plant foldies, you already know I love comments. And to those that have actually left comments and for my plant videos, Thank you so much. But give me some of your your thoughts about just your plant struggles, what you do to kind of get through it. Do you ever just kind of get demotivated? Because I tend to get demotivated when plants start to really decline in health, and the only person I can really turn to and blame is myself. So I've done better. I've done better about being more forgiving for myself. I've done better in terms of accepting what I can control, reevaluating the things that I need to do differently when a plant doesn't work out for me. Now over here, we do have a bunch of new urban jungle planters. So I featured this in another video, but look at how beautiful this Calathea is. This Calathea medallion for $22.98. Now Calatheas, they are the biggest temptress. They literally will tempt you to purchase these plants because look at how beautiful that is. Another plant that has some really nice leaf interest, but the problem is they don't always stay perfect, especially if you cannot provide them the ideal climate or growing conditions. Now, this is a plant that tends to be a little bit more forgiving. The only thing about Ficus elastica ruby, which is this right here, is you definitely need to give it light. I say this in every single video I talk about Ficus, but that is really the key. You want to give it as much light. In tropical countries, these Ficus elastica, or what you call rubber trees, can grow into full-blown trees that are 20 to 30 feet tall. And then can we say how beautiful this leaf is on the new philodendron Summer Glory? So it's another philodendron that used to be a little bit more uncommon. What makes this philodendron quite interesting are a couple of things. Number one, the leaf shine. It's got a satin texture. Number two, the leaf as it unfurls, it's red and then it becomes this like golden orange color. Love that a lot. This is actually a very easy philodendron to grow. It's one that's quite underrated if you ask my opinion. And then over here we have a Dracaena Dorado. Now again, Dracaenas are so drought tolerant, they're forgiving, they're quite easy to take care of, and they're just another plant that I would recommend for anybody that is wanting to grow plants. If you're a beginner to house plants, they are a little bit slower in growth, but they can get large in size. They are also known as the dragon tree plant. Many varieties of them. I love them as well. I have the tornado one that a lot of you plant folies, especially the ones in Canada. My shout out to my Canadian plant folies, have mentioned that they really haven't seen the tornado Dracaena. But as I pan away on this beautiful morning filming these plants, I just love admiring all of the new plants that I see at these big box stores. So you can see right over here, this is a philodendron Birkins. Philodendron Birkins, I like philodendron Birkins. I actually have one that's just growing in straight hydroponics, which is basically just water. But the thing about philodendron Birkins is they are not created equal. Like, can you believe that this is a philodendron Birkin as well? You can see that it doesn't really have any variegation. It looks almost like a philodendron green princess. Now this is for $15.98. Now here's the thing about philodendron Birkin. I think that philodendron Birkin's variegation is influenced by either the amount of light it's getting, or it could be a combination of its just initial genetics. So you got to think, right? This one has some really good variegation as compared to the really green one. And then the first one I pick has decent variegation. So either it has to have like really good genetics with already like natural variegation, or it has to have like both, where it's got to have good variegation to get, to begin with, and then to enhance that variegation, you just need to give it a lot more light. So plant foldies, I'm really curious if you've grown philodendron Birkin long term, if variegation is influenced either by the light or the natural genetics it has. I think it's both, but I lean toward more the light. So let me know in the comments what you think. But as I pan away over here, plant foldies, it's just so exciting to just show you all of these plants. I mean, look at how beautiful this Live Trends Dracaena Janet Craig compacta in a self-watering planter. And then look at this one right here. This is a new one right here. Look at how beautiful the texture of this actual planter is. There is something that's just really elegant about it. The only thing, and I've said this in all of my videos featuring Live Trends, I am not the biggest fan with the fake moss top dressing. I just feel like if they're gonna do top dressing, why don't they just use like very fine orchid bark or something of that nature? But anyways, this is not a bad price for $15.98. This one is a ficus ginseng. So you can see right here, this is a ficus ginseng. It really has a nice caudex or a trunk. And then you can see that the leaves are just green. I like the variegated form, so like the ficus benjanina variegated. And then you can see right here, a Pachira aquatica, just a green form. So one of my wish list plants at PlantCon is to be able to find a Pachira aquatica variegated form. Now, when I was in the Philippines, I saw really large specimens just hanging out in a planter at a public restaurant, and nobody was like, really gawking over it. It's quite interesting that in the Philippines, they don't really have what they call house plants. They just have these plants that grow outdoors, and they let nature kind of take care of it. So it's such an interesting concept when you think about a Southeast Asian country, and then when you think about at least plant care in North Dallas, a lot of these beautiful aroids and philodendrons, we work so hard to keep them alive indoors, whereas if in a tropical country, there's really no plant care. Like, I love the look of this particular Dieffenbachia by Urban Jungle. Look at that nice like white streak about it. There's sometimes just the little streaks or the margins or the borders of leaves that just really bring me a lot of joy. And this is another Dieffenbachia that I would love to add to my collection. $22.98 is the price. Dieffenbachias historically, at least for me, have been a very finicky plant. But again, I saw a bunch of large specimens in the Philippines. So plant foldies, if you haven't made it to my plant videos from the Philippines, I do have a plant playlist called Plant Tourism. Definitely check that out. I really want to kind of share my home country. I'm super proud to be Filipino. So if you're a Filipino plant foldie, please comment kababayan. I am super excited that I was able to connect with a kababayan who happens to work at Steve's Leaves. So hopefully we can connect at PlantCon and just get some content going. And I'm just really excited because, as you can see, I do the majority of my videos, big box store videos, big box store plant shopping videos, but I also want to really diversify my content. I feel like while you guys have supported me with big box store plant shopping videos, I think I am ready to really show you some of my personal plants. I definitely love featuring local plant nurseries out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so that's going to be a thing. I will be doing more imports from Indonesia. Thank you to those that watched the Green Spaces ID unboxing video. I literally had an amazing just an amazing experience with Green Spaces ID. So definitely check that video out. I mean, you can see here, love neon plants. I did mention that I was going to show you neon plants. This is a philodendron hederaceum lemon lime. Beautiful plant, one of my favorite plants. I'm so glad that this is actually an easy care and quote common plant. That was only for $16.98 by Costa Farms. But to go back to Green Spaces ID, they will be at PlantCon. And right now, if you go to their Instagram or website, if you are a plant foldie or somebody that's going to be going to PlantCon, you can actually order plants from them and pick them up at PlantCon. So you don't even have to worry about waiting 3 weeks for them to get a photosanitary certificate. You can pick them up at PlantCon. If you saw the video, the plants that I received from Green Spaces ID, high quality plants. I am definitely doing a pickup, so plant foldies, definitely check it out. There is a promo code. Now, if you can't buy plants from Green Spaces ID and pick them up at PlantCon, you can use my promo code Richie20 to get 20% off your purchase. Now over here, we have another Live Trends hanging basket ceramic planter. I love the color, that red color. This is an Epipremnum aureum pearls and jade pothos. Now I have been on a pothos kick. I am collecting pothos again. I am kind of thinking about just some of the plants. I'm all about the easy care plants, plants that aren't fussy, plants that are simple, plants that are easy to propagate, plants that are more accessible. That's really what I'm into. And all of those adjectives actually describe pothos plants or Epipremnum aureum. Like this one right here is an Urban Jungle one. I like the neon pothos or Epipremnum aureum neon. Now remember, with a neon pothos, and you can see this one is trailing, so you can take about 5 cuttings there and create a new plant. Pothos plants are so easy to propagate, but with the neon plant, you definitely want to make sure that you're giving it a lot of light. That's actually for most neon colored plants. Now this is another Live Trends new planter. This is a self-watering planter, but look at how gnarly this is. Look at that. It's a really cool design. Now, I wouldn't be as into all of those colors, but the shape of the planter is cool. And then also, obviously, the plant is a philodendron summer glory. And here's more of a subdued planter. It's a new shape for Life Trends. Really like that tall planter. And that's the thing I want to also do. So when I was in college, I actually majored in advertising and graphic design. I minored in art history and painting. And one of my favorite classes was ceramics. And you can see right here, I thought this was actually a real plant, but it's not. But this is a really cool looking planter of a dog. But to go back to it, I love ceramics, and I would love to be able to get back into ceramics so I can make some of my own custom planters. I think that would be really cool. And then you can see right here, more hanging baskets of pothos plants. And that's the thing, I want to do some more legwork in terms of being able to hang some more hanging basket plants. I think that would be really cool. You know, one of my dreams, you know, when it comes down to my YouTube platform is to really be what you would call a true plant influencer, but somebody that can just really provide a little bit more of their personality and content in my videos. I know that I'm showing all of these beautiful pothos like this marble queen, but I've had a lot of time to really think about what the direction of my my YouTube channel will be. And just know and stick around with me, I will be doing more of my personal plants alongside my big box or plant shopping videos. So plant foldies, if you are ready for that, please leave in the comments what you want to see from me in terms of my plant collection. I know y'all been waiting for my houseplant tour. It's coming. I promise it's coming around. So just definitely check that out. Just make sure you guys are continuing to watch my my plant shopping videos, because for some reason it is very therapeutic for me to just walk around a place like this, like Lowe's, pick up a plant like this. Now, I forgot the name of this plant, but this is another plant I really want to buy because, number one, I love the look of the leaves. There's that silver, blue, green foliage, and I just feel like this plant would be easy to propagate, and it's just an unusual plant, but I also think that it wouldn't be an easy care plant. So there's just a lot of things that interest me about this plant. I could buy this full price for $16.98, but with PlantCon literally only 2 weeks away as I upload this video, I really want to save every penny I have to be able to buy plants. And you can see that these Better Grow Special Orchid potting mix, I use that specifically to mix into my potting soil to make it a little bit more chunky. And then notice how syngoniums, when you let them grow, they just trail. So you can literally cut them. And this looks like this syngonium didn't get enough like humidity for the leaves to fully unfurl. You can see right over here, this is another Alocasia Silver Dragon by Urban Jungle. So Urban Jungle has been selling some really cool looking Alocasias, $13.98. And for this one right here, $13.98. And what I like about it is you will always find a really pleasant surprise when it comes to Urban Jungle Alocasia. I'm hoping to be able to find a sport variegated one. And you can see this is another Calathea by Urban Jungle as well. Like, I really love the look of it. And what's cool is they have the UJ like lettering for that little type, like the little stamp right there. And then you can see over here we have a golden pothos or Epiprimnum aureum golden pothos. Now all of the plants that I picked up by Urban Jungle are for $13.98. Between the Calathea and the golden pothos, I would pick the golden pothos because I know I can keep it alive. Same thing with this really nice looking Peperomia obtusifolia marble. Look at how beautiful that green on green variegation is. And I'll tell you, the more light you provide this particular plant, the more variegated it's going to be. It'll actually get less green and more of a cream color, or maybe even albo. So that's really a nice look of the plant. And then as I pan out here, I love these little smaller hanging baskets. I actually am a bigger fan of the smaller hanging baskets because I feel like there's just more like when you have a large hanging basket, like the $20.98 Costa Farm ones, like that we're looking up here, there's just more foot space that it takes. And sometimes if you have a smaller space, it really just kind of clutters the area. At least that's what has happened to me with some of my plants. Now over here, we do have a bunch of these Costa Farms exotic angel starter plants. So this is a Photonia Juanita for $5.98. Again, when it comes to like a lot of these Costa Farms exotic angels, they typically are for $5.98 at most big box stores. Like this is a beautiful Dracaena, what is it? A Dracaena Florida Beauty, one of my favorite Dracaenas. I have sent a couple to Plant Heaven, and that's because they are a little bit more thirsty in terms of the watering needs. Most Dracaena are drought tolerant, but that particular Dracaena is not. But you can see right over here, everybody's favorite. This is a Hydra Helix, or what you would call a Hedera Helix English Ivy. Now, if you've watched my video for the first time, I hope I didn't startle y'all, but there is this plant foldy thing where you guys want to just count how many times I say Hydra Helix. But that is a Grow Folds inside joke. So we'll go back into that in a little bit. But as you can see right here, $5.98. Again, this is a beautiful Dracaena Florida Beauty. The thing about this particular Dracaena is the more light you do provide it, the better speckling variegation you'll have. Now, this is another beautiful Rex Begonia for $5.98. Like, I'm excited about Rex Begonias. I just can't grow begonias, unfortunately, at least the Rex Begonias. They tend to just become unalive for me, and then they just end up going to Plant Heaven. Now, this is another false Aralia here. Here's the thing about Aralias. They tend to be easy to take care of. They're not as fussy. But it's another plant that I haven't been able to grow long term. And then over here is a Dracaena marginata bicolor. It's another plant that gets beautiful variegation, especially if you provide it with a lot of bright light. And then over here is another Rex Begonia of some sort. Now with Rex Begonias, you really don't want to get the stems wet. That's what happens when, it can actually rot the stems and it just ends up dying. And then over here we have a Syngonium of some sort right here. This has some yellowing on the leaves. When you look at some of these plants, like the yellowing on the leaves could also signify that it could be a thrifts or a plant pest. Now this one I almost bought. Look at how beautiful that variegation is on this Dracaena Florida Beauty. Look at that. $5.98. Now actually Target, one of the Targets that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, North Dallas, ended up selling a bunch of Costa Farms exotic angels, and it was only for $5. Now I know some people will say Target or Target tends to be a little bit more expensive when you come to, when you compare it to Walmart or other big box stores, but they had exotic angels for $5, and that was amazing. And then over here we have a Balferiana Aralia, one of my favorite Aralias, and I've seen the potential of how large it can get and the beauty it can get when I was in the Philippines. I will just say that they become really tall tropical shrubs. And then over here again, we have a Rex Begonia. And the thing about Rex Begonia is there's so many different hybrids of Rex Begonia that there's not a specific plant ID for a lot of them. And then over here we have a Pia tree, or a fat shadera, which is basically a hybrid of a Japanese Aralia and an English Ivy. And then over here is, for $7.98, is another Dracaena Dorado. Dracaena Dorado is a really cool looking Dracaena. It is another one that gets fairly large. It doesn't have nearly as compact of, growth as some of the other Dracaenas. And you can see right here, we have some more Lucky Bamboo, which is part of the Dracaena family. And then over here, I've noticed that Lowe's has gotten a lot of these like shippers of Live Trends or Live Trend self-watering planters. You can see this is a Philodendron Moonlight, beautiful purple planter, and I like the fact that it's got more of a yellow tone. So yellow and purple are opposite of each other on the color wheel, so they're complementary colors. Really like that. And then also we have another beautiful Ficus Elastica Ruby. These are in self-watering planters, and these are only for $14.98. I do love how healthy, Live Trends plants are, as well as the planters. You can see right here, this is a Ficus ginseng plant in a self-watering planter. I do like that neutral green tone, the planter, and then obviously just the neon color plant. So I'm just glad I've been able to run into a lot of neon color plants. And then you can see right here, this is a Live Trends dragon scale. Now the white on here, I'm kind of nervous. I don't know if that webbing is spider mite. So I'm gonna put it down. Hopefully it doesn't spread with the other plants, but that's another thing. It is a real thing. It's not necessarily the nursery. Sometimes just plants get infected with some plant pests, and that's the reason why whenever you're buying plants and you're looking at them, you want to inspect the leaves. If you see any type of webbing, I would not buy it, because that's a sign of spider mites. You know, to get rid of spider mites, you can spray them down with neem oil, like this one right here. I'm almost tempted to buy this calathea again, because I had a calathea like this, the Calathea rospicta, growing in hydroponics, and it still ended up getting spider mites even though it was in water. Like, that's ambient high humidity. You would think that spider mites hate humidity, so I don't know why it still ended up getting humidity. Sometimes I think certain plants are just really not meant for me to grow, like Hydra helix or Hydra helix, English ivy. They can't grow for me. And that's some of the frustrations about certain plants. But then I had to really think about, certain plants that do well for me that don't do well for others, like coleus plants, for instance. Everybody says coleus plants are a basic plant, it's an easy plant, but some people can't grow coleus. So maybe it just depends on the person. I don't know, plant foldies. Let me know what you think about that. If there are certain plants that you have friends that can grow really easily, and then there's certain plants that you grow easily that some people can't. Like my grandmother, she can grow begonias. It's super easy for her, but for me, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Now over here, plant foldies, you can see there are several different types of Costa Farms plants. Costa Farms has had a lot of these combination planters. So you can see right here, we've got a Croton Gold Dust with some type of palm, with some type of Snow White Waffle. And so I don't know if I'm really a big fan of combination planters. Plant folies, let me know if you mix and match planters in the same pot. I tend to like to just keep plants in one planter. Like over here, this is for $13.98. This is the common blooming anthurium, just a red variety. I do like the blooms. This is actually one of the more easier anthuriums to really grow. And then you can see right here, we've got a beautiful Epipremnum alplicimum silver stripe pothos. I like that a lot. I definitely want to get more of that plant. I just like that silvery foliage. That's another thing, silver foliage plants, or that like Cebu blue pothos looking foliage, is a really nice touch to a plant collection. But as you can see here, this is beautiful. I love all of the healthy looking blooming anthuriums. So plant foldies, let me know what you think of this particular Lowe's. If you're a plant foldie that lives out in McKinney, have you been to this Lowe's? Please let me know. Now we're going to go to another location, and this is the Sprouts off of McKinney, Texas, grocery store plant shopping. This is just north of Custer Road. So this one is actually about a 10-minute drive just north of that Lowe's I went to, and that's why I feel like I am just really fortunate to be able to have all of these places to look at plants. Being based out in North Dallas is awesome, because I have so many options to look at that. So if you are a local plant foldie and you just haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, because you will stay up to date with all of the plant pricing and what types of plants are hitting the Dallas-Fort Worth area market. But Sprouts, this is just going to be a quick, a look at what we have here. And it looks like they did get a new shipment, and they have a bunch of these self-watering planters of these anthuriums. Now, I don't know what this particular anthurium is, but what I do know about this anthurium is it's beautiful. I love the texture. It almost reminds me of like Monstera Peru vibes. These are only for $19.99. Now, here's the secret about this particular Sprouts. Give it about a week or two, and this will probably get reduced substantially. I have been able to get plants for like 99 cents here. This is where I got my Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf for 99 cents. I've been able to get some really cool like hanging baskets, ceramic planters by either Urban Jungle or Live Trends for like $3. So I always like to look at this particular Sprouts, because they always cycle out their plants. They tend to just kind of like liquidate them and really drop the prices. So if you do have a Sprouts in your local area, I would definitely recommend shopping there. Like right now, they have these plants for $9.99. These are Sansevieria plants by Live Trends. This is a new one. You can see that there is a bunch of these wooden plants right there. I just really am not a fan of the fake moss topping. I am a fan of this though, and I love the shape of this, and I even like the look of that wood that this planter is. But this is a nice ZZ Zenzi plant, so it's a more compact version of a ZZ plant. Everybody needs a ZZ plant. And then you can see here is another Live Trends planter. This is some type of, I believe, Anthurium for, I believe, $12.99. So that's not a bad price at all, actually, for a Live Trends planter. Just the planter alone is, you know, really stylish. But it looks like all of these plants, like this one right here, is for $12.99. But I've been able to buy a hanging basket like this at this particular Sprout for like $3. So I'm gonna wait around and see if they actually put this on sale. Now that one is a Pearls and Jade Pothos. Part of me really wants to just create a hanging basket or like a hanging pole to where I can just have a bunch of hanging plants. So we'll see what that looks like. But I don't know. I haven't been able to grow a lot of hanging baskets because I don't want to drill a lot of holes in my my ceiling. Now over here is another plant. This is a the Nanthe Gray Star, beautiful plant, love that. And then this is a Stramanthe Trio Star. Now all of these Calathea Stramanthes that we're looking at this Sprouts is for $19.99. So I'm gonna wait a little bit to see if that will get reduced. Now I do have a Stramanthe Trio Star, and it's actually done very well for me. I haven't really given it a lot of care, and it's still doing well. Now over here for $7.99, you can see that this is an Alocasia Black Velvet. Now you can see over here there are some webbing and spiders, you know, webbing on it. So this is probably infected with spider mites. Definitely can't buy any plants in that area. Again, plant foldies, that's not a call out on the Live Trends or Urban Jungles. It just happens with certain plants. You know, when you think about plants that are in big box stores, they're not really getting the best care. And that's really not to blame the big box store or the grocery store. It's just the fact of it. You know, there are other priorities that that particular shop might have. Although I would buy this. Look at how beautiful this Dracaena Hurricane is. It is one of my favorites, and mine is doing extremely well. But to go back to my thoughts about, you know, plant pests, that's why you just have to be very careful when you're buying big box stores. I never put a plant in my plant collection from buying a big box store without spraying it with my neem oil DIY spray. I call it the Plant Foldy Mist. And basically to make that is you'd get a conventional spray bottle, 2 tablespoons of cold pressed neem oil, 2 tablespoons of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, a drop of, a drop of dish soap, and you are good to go. Put it in water, you know, fill it up with water and shake, 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 spray it on your plant, and it is good to go. But anyways, I am now going to another grocery store, and this one is the Kroger off of Custer Road. So this is further down south from Sprouts. This is one of my favorite ones. Now this one is in Frisco, Texas, but literally this is across the street from one of my favorite grocery stores to shop at, and that's going to be H-E-B. I'm going to show you plants from H-E-B as well. So basically you could see that I have just kind of filmed throughout the day. It is getting a little bit darker at night, but my thing about this particular Kroger marketplace is it has given me some really good plants. So if I'm able to find some plants that I'm looking for, I may end up just buying it. I know that I always say this in a lot of my videos where I say like no plant buy. Back in the day, like when I was actually doing plant shopping videos, I was always buying plants every single time I went filming, and that wasn't good because it was really busting my budget. I will say that your viewership and also your comments, likes, and supports have really helped fund some of my budget because I do get some monetary gain from it, to be fully transparent. So I appreciate that. It does help my my plant budget, but you can see, I mean, like I would buy this right there. That is a Calathea Rospicta, again, beautiful looking one. Now that one I believe is for $9.99, which is not bad. Again, that's Mason Farms, and that's the problem. You go to a grocery store like Kroger Marketplace and you'll find some really good pricing. Now they have a bunch of like assorted succulents. I believe this is for $4.99. But you know, plant foldies, do you ever find yourself just like not wanting to buy a plant, but then you just get suckered into buying a plant because you feel like you need the plant. Even with pothos plants, like I really thought about buying this pothos plant. This though is for $19.99. Now, for a $19.99 pothos, it needs to be bigger than a 6-inch planter. I don't think that's the best pricing for it, because you can even buy an Urban Jungle hanging basket of pothos, at least at Kroger, for $12.99. Now this is another Monstera adansonii wide form. Now with the Monstera adansonii wide form, that is another one of my favorite types of Monstera adansonii. But like I said again, when you look at this, This is a Philodendron Imperial Gold for $9.99. Now I remember seeing this, but this one looks like it was just recently restocked with a brand new one. So plant foldies, I told you I'd show you some neon plants. That is one of the first neon plants that I might just end up buying today. We're gonna just see. And then right over here is another one, but I read the label. It's actually a Philodendron Sun Red. Now, whenever I looked at Philodendron Sun Red, it's not as neon, but I can see there is a difference. You can see that the leaf, the new leaves unfurling is a little bit more orangey, I guess. Now, I think, you know, for $9.99, that is not a bad price at all. And you got to think, I think that there are several plants, maybe 4 or 5 in here for $9.99. So that's not a bad price at all. Now with both philodendrons, they don't necessarily need to have a pole to climb on, or at least from what I've read about those philodendrons. So we'll see, but that's definitely piqued my interest. Now this is another plant that I do like. I currently don't have this one anymore. I ended up not watering it as frequently as it needed, so it ended up going to Plant Heaven, but this one is for $9.99. This is a Polea plant, or a aluminum plant. Really like the look of that, and this is another plant that's easy to propagate. It actually prefers higher humidity. And then over here we've got a Epiprenum aureum golden pothos, another beautiful plant. It's an easy to care for plant. It's a plant, again, what I would tell you, plant foldies, is one that you really definitely need to add to your collection. Now over here is a lemon button plant, and then over here is a Hydra helix. This is a variegated form for only $9.99, and it actually has some nice trailing already. I would say this is either the gold coin baby Hydra helix or Hedera helix, however you want to say it. If you're a plant foldy, you already know we've got to say Hydra helix. And I guess for those that really dislike me saying it, I have tried to reduce the amount of times. I know some folks have actually sent me a direct message saying it's like very cringe, and they stopped watching my YouTube channel. I understand that maybe that might not be for everybody's, but you know, there's a certain level where you can take, you know, some feedback, but then you also want to stay authentic to yourself. So that's why, you know, Hedera helix is here to stay. I've just kind of toned it down slightly. That's all I'm going to say about that one. But anyways, as you can see here, this is another beautiful, this is a legitimate Enjoy pothos. So, you know, we see this as pearls and jade for $13.99. This is not a pearls and jade pothos, because you can clearly see that there is a higher, more contrast in the variegation. This is one of the slower pothos to grow though, and it doesn't get nearly as large of a leaf unless you put it on a moss pole. And then I actually was thinking about buying this Aglonema, and here's the reason why. This is $13.99. This is Aglonema Mary Ann, because the leaves almost look like a Maria, but this one has more of a silver foliage. I have been reinvigorated to collect Alocasias. Let's just say some of my Alocasias I had earlier this year got super leggy, got super just got super unhealthy, that some of them are in the rehab process. Some of them have made it to Plant Heaven, and you know, that's the thing. But I love Aglonema because, you know, they are easy care plants. I just happened to push the button to put to the point where I literally didn't water them for more than a month. And I mean, any plant, unless they're a succulent, is not going to be able to just withstand not being watered. And as embarrassing as that sounds, as embarrassing as how much money I may have lost by sending that plant to Plant Heaven because I simply didn't take my watering can and watered the plant, or taken the plant and brought them into my shower to just, you know, water them pretty fast. It's something that I'm willing to accept. It's something that I have learned to kind of deal with, and it's something that I'm going to continue to talk about. I am celebrating the fact that I have been very consistent about watering my plants the last 2 weeks. You know, I take them, especially on my day off. I'm usually off on Tuesdays. I will take them into the shower and literally just get batches where I water them with a handheld shower head, get them soaked, and then what I do is if they need to get fertilized, I'll fertilize them with some Miracle-Gro fertilizer, and then take my plant foliar mist spray the tops of the soil down, the undersides of the leaves, the tops of the leaves, let it kind of sit there and dry, and then put them back into where they are. And I haven't had any pests, and I've seen a lot of new growth, and they've been super happy. So really excited about that. Then that's the reason why I feel like plant foldies, just as beautiful as this Phalaenopsis orchid is, I am ready to show you my beautiful plant collection. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm actually looking at some of my plants as I do this voiceover, and I do want Plant YouTube to see it, to see Growfold's plants. So definitely stay tuned for that. It is coming, and it's probably gonna actually premiere when you least expect it. But so many things to really be excited about. Like, I'm even excited that I went to this Kroger again. Now, I've seen these Monstera Perus. Now, if you ever want the cheapest Costa Farms trending tropical self-watering planters, go to go to a grocery store like Kroger. They are selling them for $16.99. Most big box stores will sell them for like $19.84 or $20.84. Kroger, at least the Kroger grocery stores I've been to, they sell them for $16.99, and sometimes they reduce them even more depending on either the staff member that's running it, or they have like I guess a cycle of clearance. Like this one right here, if this was actually half off, I would buy this Monstera Sedliana. I do have one. What I did discover about Monstera Sedliana is if it doesn't get a lot of light, it's kind of similar to an Epipremnum panatum Cebu Blue. It shoots runners, and I ended up just like chopping up, and I'm currently propagating the nodes as kind of like a wet stick propagation. Now over here is a Peperomia camouflage. I do like the look of a Peperomia camouflage. Now this one is influenced by more of the amount of light you provide it to get more of that green on green variegation, and this saddens me, and this is the reason why it saddens me. These are beautiful Philodendron verrucosums. The only thing is nobody is gonna buy Philodendron verrucosum for $29.99 with the way this looks. And even though this plant is still what would be considered a uncommon plant, I just don't think that Kroger will sell these. Like, I would totally buy these. Like, if I could actually find the person who reduces the plants, I would honestly straight up ask them, if you reduce the price for these Philodendron verrucosums, I would totally buy like one or two. I remember seeing a bunch of some beautiful Philodendron snowdrifts, and they had them on sale for $19.99. Then they reduced them to $14.99, but they had a whole table of them, and then they disappeared. So I don't know if number one, they reduced it and I wasn't there, or number two, there was some type of liquidation process where they might have just ended up in the trash. So not 100% sure, but it does pain me to see beautiful Philodendron verrucosums. Like this one already has some leaf damage. And the thing about it is those velvety texture Philodendrons tend to get more like spider mite prone, or they just end up getting yellowing. Now this also gets spider mites. This Hedera helix, or Hedera helix, this is another common plant you'll find at Kroger. So like if you ever see me filming a Kroger plant shopping video, you already know I will say Hedera helix. Now some people have noticed I haven't said it as much, but in this video, I feel like I've let the cannons loose, and you've heard me say Hedera helix. So anyways, this is a Sansevieria Victoria. I thought it was like a Sansevieria whalefin for $13.99. I do have this similar Sansevieria. I have a whalefin I've had for about 4 years. Easy plant, interesting plant. It shoots out a lot of little pups that I could potentially separate. And then this is a Peperomia piccolo. Really nice looking Peperomia. Again, it has a nice leaf interest on it. I really like the veining, but I also love that aqua green marine silver tone it has. There's just certain colors on plants that I like. I would say pink plants are my #1 favorite. Then I like dark foliage plants. And then I like plants that are neon. Those are really my main three. But then again, when it comes to variegation, I actually like more of a green on green variegation, if you're gonna ask me variegation. Now, this is that Philodendron hederaceum hanging basket I was talking about. So I saw this a couple days back, and I'm glad that it's still here. I'm actually debating on whether I should buy this for $12.99 or if I should buy those beautiful philodendrons that are for $9.99. So like, you guys let me know what you think. At this moment, would you buy the philodendron hederaceum hanging basket for $12.99, this beautiful specimen here, or the two philodendrons, the philodendron imperial gold and then philodendron red sun, both for $9.99? So I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking, but that is really the dilemma. I think I am definitely going to buy a plant today. It's just something that I want to do. I feel like I deserve it. I'm going to treat myself to it. And lo and behold, look at this, hidden in the corner. This is a philodendron red sun, and this one looks really nice as well for $9.99 in a 4.5-inch planter. That's a really good deal because philodendron red suns, when you buy it from like proven winners at Home Depot, they're for $19.99. So I can justify buying a philodendron red sun for $9.99. It is another easy care plant, and that's the thing with most philodendrons, unless they are the velvety types like the philodendron gloriosum, philodendron philodendron verrucosum. These plants are easy. And then look at this, they come in pairs. So this is a philodendron imperial gold. This one may need a little bit more light just because it has more of like a neon green tone versus yellow. And you know, you can fix that by either putting these plants to grow at a south facing window where it gets really good light, or a west facing window, or better yet, you can get a grow light. So some of the grow lights I actually use are Sansi grow lights. That's really the main grow light I use. So if you're curious to see what that looks like, I do have a couple of videos that feature Sansi grow light. They actually sent me some grow lights to review. They're doing awesome, and I need to see what their promo code is to get a discount. I think it's for 60% off. So plant foldies, if you're interested in buying Sansi grow lights, definitely let me know. Let me see if I can find my promo code. And that's the interesting thing is I have been really fortunate that there are several people that have started to reach out to me in terms of doing collabs, in terms of doing sponsorships. So if you are somebody that wants to do a collab or sponsorship, please send me a direct message on Instagram. I am usually all for it unless it's some type of scam. Please stay away. I only want to deal with legitimate people with, you know, really good business practices. But you can see here, going back to these philodendrons, I don't know, like plant foldies, would you buy that philodendron sun red or the other one that was a little bit larger? I'm going to go back to it. But then again, here again is another Hydra helix. This one is a nice looking Hedera helix. Now, my plant care tips for English ivy is you need to just grow these outside. If you grow them outside in an area that gets bright morning light and you water it from using a hose, you're not going to get spider mites. You're going to probably get a lot of new growth, and it's just going to grow for you. If you bring it indoors, however, you're going to need to spray it a bunch with a bunch of neem oil on it, put it next to a humidifier, put a grow light on it, and maybe, just maybe, that English ivy will survive. That's how much plant care you have to do for a Hedera helix or English ivy. Now this pothos plant, super easy, bright light if you can, but it can tolerate lower light conditions. Now this is another interesting plant for $9.99. This is just a green form of a Hoya carrii. Now I was able to find a variegated Hoya carrii at Kroger. So I ended up buying it, and it was only for like $13.99. But you know, whenever you think about Hoya carrii, I just love the shape of the leaf. It is a legitimate heart. And then obviously the other plant that I picked up after the Hedera helix was a Crusala. Or jade plant. Love jade plants as well. And then you can just see there is just an assortment of golden pothos. Now, not all golden pothos are as variegated as some. Like this one has a pretty good variegation, but I've even seen some that are even more variegated. So if you provide pothos with a lot of light, I've seen pothos actually grow out in full sun in a tropical country like the Philippines. They actually like to grow up on trees, and that's when they get really large leaves and start to fenestrate. And again, for those that are new to the term fenestrate, that means the leaf actually gets larger and it actually starts to split. And the reason why it splits is because it wants to provide the light to shine through the leaves into the lower branches or the lower leaves that are closer to the ground. Now over here, we do have a zebra plant. I don't know, plant foldies, why I'm just not interested in even buying a zebra plant. Now, I've been told that a zebra plant can be finicky, I'm not sure why. So if you have grown a zebra plant and it did give you some challenges, please let me know what makes it challenging. Again, plant foldies, it is all about those comments. I know that a lot of you guys will chat away in the chat, but if you can do me a favor, definitely hit the like button, but also leave as many comments on the videos as possible. That kind of lets YouTube know that there is some engagement, and you already know if you guys are already engaging on the live chat. Let's go ahead and do that on the comments. I love responding to every single one of y'all, but I also am just, I don't know, that just looking at those varicosums, those philodendron varicosums, I just wish they would go ahead and like reduce them to $5. I would buy 2 or 3 of them. I might even do a plant giveaway. And speaking of which, I am so excited that we are like about 25 subscribers away from making it to 10,000 subscribers. I definitely will do a rare plant giveaway. I did a Monstera Thai constellation, a variegated domesticana giveaway, and I don't know what's the next plant I'm going to do a giveaway. But stay tuned for my Instagram, because I also want to celebrate the fact that I finally broke 1,000 followers on Instagram. So if you have Instagram, super cool, because that's really where I do a lot of my announcements for the YouTube channel. Sometimes I'll post on the YouTube community, but I tend to like Instagram. And so if you are a diehard plant foldie, please create an Instagram if you don't have it. That's the fastest way to get to me in terms of just direct messaging me. So definitely check that out. But again, plant foldies, that's the question. I ended up buying that philodendrons, both of those philodendrons right there. And then this is the last spot. This is the HEB off of Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. It is almost nighttime. I literally drove across the street to go to this place because I heard that they got another restock. Now, this is the same Home Depot. I said Home Depot. I'm sorry. HEB. Sorry. HEB that had gotten the variegated domesticana, philodendron strawberry shake, just a bunch of plants. So we're gonna pan away and just kind of see what they have. So it looks like they've got, wow, a hanging basket of Hydra Helix. Look at that English ivy, just a green version. Now these hanging baskets, which are 10-inch plant hanging baskets, larger than the typical 8, is only for $16.99. That is not a bad price at all. Now, if I didn't know how fussy this English ivy would be, like if I didn't know that, I would totally buy 1 or 2 and think that I could just grow it indoors and let it trail and make it look like a centerpiece. But alas, I know that it is a difficult plant to grow. Now this is awesome. Now you talk about Epipremnum aureum or golden pothos getting large. This is a result of when it starts to get larger when you grow it up the pole. So these are what you call totem pothos, and I prefer to see pothos actually growing up a pole, because look at this. So the lower leaves are smaller. These are for $64.49. Okay, now that's a little bit pricey, but this is about 3.5 feet tall, and you can see that the leaves have gotten larger. So we're just gonna see what they have, but it looks like they just got these here. Now the thing about growing a pothos plant on a moss pole or a totem pole, the leaves don't necessarily get large by just growing up. It needs to have the aerial roots actually attached to the surface. So it looks like they've got some type of pole that holds up to it. Now what I like to do is actually take a plant that I want the aerial roots to attach by putting a humidifier right next to the moss pole, so that it encourages the aerial roots to kind of attach to it. Now I did buy this last week for $5. Look at how beautiful this full syngonium planter is, and mine is doing very well. I ended up, spraying it down with neem oil. And that's the thing about syngoniums. They can be a fussy plant when you don't water them consistently. They are pretty fast growing. There are certain varieties that are not, but for the most part, they're easy. But like this one right here, look at how beautiful it is. $5 for a silver band marantha. And, that's a really good deal, especially in that, gray terracotta planter. Really like the look of that. Very modern looking. They kind of look like the wild interiors ones, but you can see right here, they do have some totems of some Epipremnum golden pothos. Can you imagine growing like a marble queen pothos or an enjoy pothos with that sizing? And look at this. This is for $16.99. We have a forest of Hydra Helix. sticks. Look at that. That is insane. And it kind of reminds me of some of those walls that you'll see in England or the UK, where they literally have English ivy just crawling up a whole wall. And while this is in a variegated form, you know, the reason why I like English ivy is because they do remind me of maple leaves, and maple leaves, they just look really cool. I love maple trees. I actually collect a bunch of Japanese maples, so that's another interest that I will also put back into my YouTube channel. And I also like miniature variegated roses. Now this is only for $3.98, which to me, if you're looking to save money on like floral plants, I would shop at H-E-B. I would shop at grocery stores like Kroger. And it's just so cool that they're literally across the street from each other. So if you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want to like hit up all of these places, you can literally do it, because all of these places that I've visited are within 5 to 10 minutes away on the same street. So check it out. If you want to go up to McKinney/Frisco, just go up Custer Road and you will see that Home Depot, you'll see that H-E-B that I'm in, you'll see that Kroger, and you'll see that Sprout, and then you'll also see a Walmart that I also film, and a Home Depot and a Lowe's. So just many places. It's really easy. And these are only for $12.99. This is an Aglaonema Maria. Now those white little speckles underneath might look like mealybugs. So again, I don't want to call out the actual grocery store. It's literally, you have to be very cautious about your plants. And you know, whenever I do plant shopping videos, and I know it sounds silly, same thing with this Aglaonema Red Siam, $12.99, is I don't go near my plants when I get home. I literally run to the shower and make sure I shower, put my clothes in the washer to get ready to wash, because sometimes plant pests are literally because you've exposed yourself to a plant pest, and then you go home, it might get into your hair, it might get into your hands, it might get onto your clothes. And that's how sometimes plant pests make it into a home. I know that sounds really crazy, but I've had moments where my whole plant collection was destroyed, for instance, by mealybugs. Like I just couldn't control it. It sounds really disgusting. And that's the reason why whenever I do my big box store plant shopping videos, I definitely want to make sure that I'm cleaned up before I get around my plants. Call me silly, but that's really the extent of my plant pest prevention. I think that that's the reason why a lot of people get frustrated, is when they get infiltrations of like plant pest. I've been on top of my neem oil. My plant foliar spray really does work, and it's very cost effective. Now you can see over here plant foliars, just there's a lot of plants, and I love that I saw a bunch of kalanchoe. We got some gerbera daisies. These are always a staple as well. Now I always think, do these need to be outdoors? Now these are for only $10.99. Now if you're gonna ever buy flowers for me, just buy me a flowering plant like an Azalea Simsii or an indoor azalea. But over here is a smaller Epipremnum aureum pothos totem. Now this one, I believe, look at how beautiful that is. That is so cool. I love the vertical line it creates. You know, I like height in some of my plants, and this one is a really nice looking variegated one. So you can see that this is more of that neon color. Now plant foliars, would you buy this plant? I am set on buying this. This is for $24.99. Not a bad price at all. And honestly, the reason why I want to buy it is because I want that instant gratification. I don't want to have to wait for my pothos plant to really grow. So plant foliars, let me know what you think about this video today. As always, please hit that like button. This is Richie at Grow Folds. I'll have another brand new big box store plant shopping video tomorrow, and my collab is going to premiere soon. I'll see you then. Bye. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's in North McKinney, Texas. This one is right next to I-75, right next to Melissa. Please make sure you are hitting the like button, as well as following me on Instagram if you enjoy 1 hour plant shopping videos. I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button with all the notification bell on. It is a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, and as you can see right here, I have been visiting a lot of these Lowe's locations just to see in the summer whether they have downsized their plant collections, especially in the outdoor section. But what's exciting is, and you'll have to see this in the second part of the video, is the amazing indoor tropical plants that I found today. But for now, we are going to be looking at some of the outdoor plants. You can see right over here, lantanas 1288. This one you can just put straight into a container. Now, lantanas are one of my favorite flowering ground covers because they can tolerate very hot weather. It is 99 degrees today when I filmed this video, and it was just really hot. Now, plants like this, though, can tolerate this heat in Texas. I am based out in North Dallas, for those that don't know. And so I have to find plants that are going to be able to withstand the really harsh summers and just the climate in general for North Dallas. And lantana is a perfect example of a plant that can tolerate drought, that can take full sun and can take a lot of heat. So this is another plant that's also vigorous. It is a plant that is also considered a perennial for my grow zone, which is 8B. And so plant foldies. And then for those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. I would highly recommend lantanas. You know, I've been looking at a lot of these outdoor plants. I know that it is late into the season. Most of the outdoor gardening should have been done in the spring, but I also like looking at big box stores because outdoor gardening, some of these plants will end up going on clearance. I did want to walk over here, plant foldies, and show you what I use as a potting mix for my plants that I use for indoor. So I actually buy this. This is the tree and shrub garden soil, and I believe it's for like $7.98. I actually mix that with perlite, with orchid bark, with horticultural charcoal, and that is really one of my mix if I don't use the Costa Farms potting mix. But you can see over here, they have a clearance section for a lot of these outdoor plants. Now, the thing about Lowe's is whenever they put a plant on clearance, it's usually 50% off. You can see they've got a couple of cactus right here. Now, this is just kind of silly or awkward. I don't know however you want to put it, but that is a cactus with some eyes. I don't know if they thought that was cute. I don't necessarily think it's cute, but you know, to each his own. I also wanted to show you that these lantana here were originally $5.98. They are 50% off. And the thing about it is you buy a size like this for a lantana. If you put it in the ground within a month or so, it will actually triple in its size. So it's a really good hardy plant. It's a plant that has brought me a lot of joy. My outdoor garden in my backyard has really looked so beautiful this summer. I don't really have to fight to try to keep these plants alive, especially when you have lantana. Here is another hanging basket of lantana, again on clearance. You can see that this one is not in bloom. Now, the thing about lantana, you do have to provide it full sun. It's not going to do very well in any shaded environment. It needs 6 to 7 hours of full sun. So if you are going to grow something like that, that is the true form of what a plant needs. It needs full sun, at least for that lantana. And then over here, you can see that these are some Encore azaleas. So I like Encore azaleas. This one's for $49.98. That one is actually a pretty large size azalea. Now, the thing about azaleas is they like acidic soil. They definitely need to be moist. Like, you don't really want their soil to dry out completely. Otherwise it will not do well. It will actually decline in its health very quickly. And then I've been showing you guys a lot of the plant products that I use for my plants. So I actually use this liquid fertilizer right here. This one is a very mild fertilizer that I actually can put just a little tiny amount in my watering can and water my plants maybe every other day or every 3 days. And then I also use a Miracle Grow Quick Start. That is what I use to for my plants that I recently propagated in, say, water, and whenever I pot them up in soil, it just helps with the transition. Now, plant foldies, it's interesting to see that they have this right here. This is an Acer dissectum, or Japanese maple lace leaf. That's actually in full sun. Japanese maples really do not need to be in full sun. They tend to burn, especially in the North Dallas summers. So that's quite interesting that they have it there. Luckily, it hasn't burned. And you can see here, we've got an oleander. This is the hardy pink oleander. Look at the beautiful pink blooms. Now, with oleander, they are highly poisonous, super toxic. You don't want to ingest any of the leaves or any part of that plant. Otherwise, that's just no good. You just want to make sure that they're also away from your furry friends, any of your pets, and children as well. So just be being caution with that. And then I'm going to walk over here, plant foldies, and show you, a plant that I will always show in any of my big box store plant shopping videos, and that is a cordyline Hawaiian tea plant. Look at how beautiful and bold the maroon color is. Now, again, with this plant, which is for $19.98, some people have attempted to grow these indoors. They never really do well indoors unless you have them next to a humidifier, unless you are spraying them down with neem oil. They really prefer to be outdoors. It is a plant that requires more humidity indoors. It is a spider mite prone plant if you grow those indoors. So for now, I have actually just grown mine in full sun outdoors in my backyard, and it's been doing very well. I just recently came back from the Philippines about 3 weeks ago. My family's originally from the Philippines. So just going back to our home country, seeing, cordyline Hawaiian tea plants just literally growing out in the jungles, in the wild, they were super huge. And it's just amazing that it really depends on the plant's natural environment. We talk about plants and plant care. Again, I will stress to you, the closer we get the plant to its natural environment, that is all the plant care that they need. So you can see over here, whenever we go to a big box store, I like to show you guys a lot of different types of succulents and cacti. What's interesting about succulents and cacti is there is quite a bit of a diversity for this genus of plants. I like to show these because not a lot of big box store plant shopping videos actually feature a lot of cactus. And for my plant foldies, especially those that love cactus and succulents and have requested that I show you more of these in my videos, I always think of you guys. So I always make it an effort to actually show you all of these succulents and cactus. Now, the thing about it is, and like this one is for $9.98, cactus and succulents definitely need quite a bit of light. Now, it depends on whether some can be put in just full sun. The majority of them can. I know for a fact though that all succulents need to be on the drier side in terms of the soil. So if you're going to grow them in containers, you want to make sure that the soil is dried out completely. You also want to make sure that you have a fast draining soil that doesn't really retain a lot of moisture. Otherwise, your cactus or succulent will get susceptible to root rot. Now, this is a beautiful kalanchoe. This is a blooming kalanchoe. I believe this is also for $9.98. Now, these are sourced out by Oasis Plants. So there's several different types of nurseries that source succulents and cactus to big box stores. Oasis tends to source out a lot of these succulents and cactus to Lowe specifically, but you can see how beautiful the blooms are on this blooming succulent. These are often seen at grocery stores and sold as a flowering plant. Now, they do require a lot of light, so they are best to be grown outdoors. And as I pan around here, you can see that they've got beautiful echeverias right here. And I just like that lavender pink color of this particular succulent. I believe this one is also for $9.98. So there are some cost-effective succulents. I like looking at the blooms as well. And whenever you get close to the blooms and you touch it, it is definitely very much so the same texture as the actual succulent. It's rubbery and thick. Now, all succulents are pretty drought tolerant. They tend to be more on the drier side. So if you are an underwaterer like me, these are probably the best types of plants to grow. The only thing about succulents and cacti is they are very much in need of light. And you can see right here, this one shot up a puff. You can actually cut that, put it on the surface of soil, and it will actually propagate itself pretty quickly. And you can see right here, $9.98. That's actually a pretty large size succulent, beautiful looking succulent as well. Some people will do succulent arrangements. I haven't really delved into the world of succulents. I just feel like once I get addicted to something like that, I would want to buy every single succulent. I have a really good friend who lives in Houston that actually has a lot of succulents. He actually imports a lot of them from the country of Korea, of all places. So I find that that's interesting because whenever I think of succulents, I don't really think of Korea as being a country that produces a lot of succulents, but apparently that country does. So it is always interesting to see where all of these plants are sourced at. whenever you think about indoor tropical plants, you have to imagine that they're not necessarily indoor in general. These are plants that have been sourced out from a different part of the world, somewhere tropical, maybe Southeast Asia, maybe Africa, Latin America, South America, Africa again, like just all of those places where a lot of the environment is really humid, as well as just a tropical vibe. And then over here, you can see again, plant foldies for $9.98. This one is another type of succulent. I do like the tips, how it has like that reddish tip about it. I will say that some succulents definitely do not look like real plants. It is nice to see that there's still quite a bit of selection at this location at Lowe's. I was actually concerned that in the summertime that big box stores would actually downsize their plants. I would only say that of all the big box stores that I've gone to, it's mostly Walmart that has really downsized on their plants, because what I heard is this actual Lowe's actually got a huge restock of indoor tropical plants. So we're going to definitely take a look at that. Now this one is for $26.98, and this is what you call the golden barrel cactus. And then this one is for $26.98 as well. This is called the torch cactus. Both of these cacti are actually very much a common cactus that you will find at any big box store. This is actually super cute. Not as prickly as the golden barrel cactus. Now the golden barrel cactus, you would never want to like fall on that or throw that on somebody, because that looks very much prickly and super dangerous. But you can see over here, plant foldies, they've got a mixed planter of a different type of, different types of succulents. That is super cute. And I actually like the planter, that gunmetal look. It looks really nice. Plant foldies, what do you think about this succulent arrangement? This one is for $150. So it kind of takes the guessing game of having to make your own arrangement. Look at how beautiful the variegation is, especially on this particular succulent. I am curious, plant foldies, and you already know I love engagement. So if you leave comments, I will definitely respond to each and every one of you. Let me know what you think about succulents and cactus. Do you grow them? What do you like about them? What do you dislike about them? I really want to hear from you guys. I know that during the live premiere chats, we get a lot of chatter, but I also like to hear from you guys in the comments. So I hope you will take the time to just kind of leave your insights about certain plants. I will say that the countdown to PlantCon 2024 is underway. I am super excited. It is on August 31st, and it is just going to be a fun time. And plant foldies, especially if you're a local plant foldie, please leave in the comments and let me know if you are planning on going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas. It is that weekend. I am going to both days. I will be filming a ton of footage for all of the plant foldies that can't make it, but I am also super excited to meet everybody in person. I will be bringing some Grow Folds t-shirts. Those will be on sale, as well as bringing a couple of presents for some of my plant foldies that are going to be attending. I think we are going to go ahead and meet up around 11 o'clock. The general public gets to come in at 10, but maybe 11 o'clock at PETA's Planters booth. So that is going to be the central point where we're going to go. For those that don't know what PETA's Planters is, it is a local small business in Dallas, Texas. It is one of my favorite plant shops ever. And PETA's Planters is actually going to be a vendor at PlantCon 2024. So what better place to meet up than at PETA's Planters booth? So for those that are going to be traveling to Dallas for PlantCon, that's where we're going to meet. I will be wearing a Grow Folds t-shirt because I already know plant foldies. I haven't really been, I haven't really done a face reveal on YouTube, but hey, you'll get to meet me in person and you'll be able to easily spot me because I will be wearing my Grow Folds t-shirt. Plant Foldy Luke and Isaac, who is Hi JR Sings, will also be wearing Grow Folds t-shirts, so you will definitely be able to find us. But anyways, going back to the plants at this location, it looks like they still have a bunch of caladiums here. At least I was surprised to see some. They were actually more readily available earlier this season. These are for $7.98, and I do like the pink coloration on it. Anything that's pink for me, any plant that is pink, is one that really brings me a lot of joy. I absolutely love pink plants. It's one of those plants that attract me. There's certain plants, colors that I like. I like dark foliage plants. I like green on green variegation, pink plants, and neon plants. Now, this is really cool. I really like this variegated shrub right here. This is a Japanese laurel summer gaze, and you can see how beautiful the variegation is for that. Now, this one needs to be out in actual shade, so it's not something that you want to put in full sun. But I would say with any variegated plant, the more light you potentially give it, the better variegation it could potentially have. So maybe some bright indirect morning sun would be really good for it. And then over here, this is the cast iron plant, and these are definitely plants of steel. It's one of those plants that is very hardy, very easy to grow apparently, and is pretty vigorous in its growth. It does require being more in a shaded area. People do grow these in indoors. So this one is for $36.68 by Monrova Plants. Now with Monrova Plants, they typically are a little bit more on the pricey side, but Monrova Plants also has some really nice specimens, super healthy plants whenever I run into these plants at a big box store. Now over here, you already know plant foldies that we have to look at Hydra Helix. What a beautiful English ivy, or what you would say Hedera helix. I love me some Hydra helix. These are just the common ones. These are invasive as a ground cover, so you have to really be careful when you put them in the ground. They tend to actually crawl up walls. They can get up on trees. When grown outdoors, they are very much a fast, vigorous growing plant. When you try to grow them indoors, however, that is what makes them one of the most challenging plants to grow indoors, because they are spider mite prone. I have sent 14 Hydra helix to Plant Heaven, so I've already had my fix on Hedera helix, or however you want to say it. The correct way to say it is Hedera helix. For those that are new to the channel, I mispronounce it by saying Hydra helix because it is a plant foldy inside joke. I guess it brings you guys joy. It actually brings me joy because for the longest time I didn't realize that I was actually mispronouncing it, so it's kind of stuck around to it. Now here is an Asiatic jasmine for $8.98. Now this is a plant that I have the green version like this, as well as the variegated version. I am growing them in a container. They're currently outdoors, but I would like to be able to bring this indoors to grow as an indoor plant. And then over here is the fertilizer I use on my plants. It's just the all-purpose plant fertilizer by Miracle Grow. It's the blue powder one. I have used those for decades, and it has really worked in terms of just giving the nutrients that my plant requires. I have seen my plants double in size when I use it, and so I continue to use Miracle Grow products. Now over here is really interesting. This is a Fatsa japonica, or a Japanese Aralia. Now this one is for $22.98, and what's really nice is that the new leaves, or the new growth, has more of a neon color to it. Now if you plant that in the ground, at least in my grow zone, it actually can be a perennial, which is really interesting. I do want to try to grow one indoors. I wanted the variegated one. I had the camouflage one, which is the green on green variegation, but unfortunately it went to Plant Heaven just because I don't know if it's just the 100-degree weather. I actually had it outside in my patio and it just didn't do well. Now, a plant that will do well in anybody's care is an Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. Now, these are super full, highly variegated pothos plants for $9.98. It's actually sourced by Lowe, so that's the Lowe's hanging basket of pothos. You can see there's quite a bit of hanging baskets as well. And in plant foldies, as you can see here, it is in the afternoon. I'm filming this around 1 o'clock. It is extremely hot, so I'm sweating a lot. I'm hurrying up to try to get indoors because I just definitely need to get indoors. It's quite hot over here. You can see over here though, what a beautiful coleus plant. And you already know I have had a coleus obsession all spring and summer long, because these plants, I never really paid attention to it, but they're so versatile. You can grow them indoors as an indoor plant, or outdoors in the landscape as an annual, or even as a container plant. Very easy to propagate as well, and there's just so many varieties. Now, I always love looking at pink plants, and this is a pink plant that I was happy to see throughout the season at Lowe's. This is for $4.98. This is the Trade Scanthia Nanook, and what I like about the Trade Scanthia Nanook is it is obviously pink. It's got beautiful undersides where it has that purple underside, but I also like the fact that it doesn't get as leggy as a typical Trade Scanthia. It's easy to propagate, and I love how large the leaves are. Now you can see that these ones are actually in bloom. Really like the look of that as well. Tradescantia nanuk, it's a fast growing plant. You can propagate it, and when you cut it back, actually that promotes more bushing and it actually gets a little bit more full. If you want to actually propagate it, literally you can stick it in water and it will root within 2 to 3 days. That's how fast it roots, and I just love the undersides as well. That's the thing about plants, plant foldies, you know, there's not really a specific genre of plants I like. And that's the reason why I do a lot of big box store plant shopping videos. I know some people have asked why I like to do big box store plant shopping videos. And it's because big box stores are typically accessible to anybody. We go there for a lot of things. And for the most part, I believe that plants also need to be accessible to people, anybody. I think it shouldn't be just for those that may have a little bit more money to buy more of those aeroids or those rare philodendron. And I also like the fact that big box stores, for the most part, have a variety of indoor and outdoor plants, because not everybody wants to grow plants indoors. Obviously, I love indoor tropical plants, or tropical plants that you can grow indoors, actually. And then also just doing gardening. I love gardens. I love vegetable gardening. I love bonsai. I love everything that has to do with plants. You know, they always have that saying on social media where it's like hashtags plants make people happy. Let me know in the comments and use the hashtag plants make people happy if they definitely do. I know that they do. And I mean, you can see right here, oh my gosh, I almost had that one become a goner, but look at how happy this plant is. This is the golden dew plant right here. This looks more like the Alternatera as well. And you can see that the roots are thriving. It's already passed itself out. It's actually escaped out of the drainage holes. But this plant right here, again, for $4.98 would be another plant that I would consider trying to grow indoors. Now, this is more of a shrub type plant or bush type plant. And it's interesting because right next to it is actually a neon Alternatera. They look similar, but they're different plants. This one tends to be a little bit more on a compact, like growth side. They are both beautiful. And again, with most neon plants, they do require a lot more light in order for them to really hold that neon color. The more light you provide it, the more neon it's going to look like, or even more yellow. And I'm going to walk over here and show you that there is always going to be a surplus of different types of palms at a big box store. These are Majesty palms, and these are sourced out by Costa Farms. I also want to pan over here. So one thing I like to do now on my big box store videos is to show you the plant products I use. Like I haven't seen this yet, but this is an Osmocote large size for $36.98. So this is quite a bit of Osmocote. Now I like this particular fertilizer because you can mix it in your soil. You can mix it on top of the surface of your plant soil, and it is a slow release fertilizer. When you use it, it doesn't really burn any of the plants. So like you don't have to worry about it over fertilizing and hurting the roots, but it does give the plants quite a bit of nutrients throughout the year. And then I haven't used this yet. This is Miracle Grow orchid fertilizer. So I have only one Phalaenopsis orchid, and that is a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid. It is currently not in bloom. I'm hoping that I can get it to bloom. I actually use Bloom Booster, which has a high phosphorus rate, which actually helps, I think, is it phosphorus that will actually help with the bloom or something like that. But anyways, I am fertilizing my Phalaenopsis orchid with Bloom Booster. Now I also see that there is a mist that they can use by Miracle Grow for orchids, so that might be something I might consider. Plant foldies, let me know if you use these orchid fertilizers by Miracle Grow and if it's effective for your orchids. I'd really like to know, because like I said, again, I love to give you guys all of these insights. You know, it's really relaxing for me to just literally film these plants. Today's actually my day off, and just to walk around and show you some of these plant products, talk about what I use. Like I even use this indoor plant food right here. Now that is actually like, I'll do like a tiny drop and put it in my my watering can whenever I water, just to give it just a slight boost of fertilizer for my plants. I have been doing so well in terms of just watering my plants consistently, so I'm super proud of that. But look at this. So I had to go inside and look at this little fixture, and look, plant find of the day. This is a hanging basket of Monstera celtipicana, and honestly, that is such a good deal for $20.98. I already found a Monstera celtipicana at another Lowe's location, but it's really nice. I was almost tempted to purchase this. Now, the thing about Monstera celtipicana is it is a monstera. It's got some beautiful silver foliage, but this is a plant that if you let it grow the way it's supposed to grow in the natural wild, and that is to climb up a pole, climb up a tree, climb up on something, the leaves will get larger and it will actually create holes and fenestrate. Now, this is a Costa Farms trending tropical plant. This is another Scindapsus trubii moonlight. Now, Scindapsus are easy to take care of. They're very similar to Epipremnum aureum. The only thing is they are way slower in the growth. So that's just the downside of a Scindapsus. And check this out. Look at this right here. Now, I'm going to call it the green shield. It's really hard to pronounce it by its actual Latin name, but you can see that there is a growth point for it. I was actually tempted to purchase this for $19.84 because it is actually super healthy, and this is what I was talking about. It looks like Costa Farms sent out a bunch of trending tropical plants, and this particular Lowe's got restocked with a bunch of trending tropical plants. I mean, take a look at that. That is absolutely stunning. And again, Plant Foldies, it is all about these trending tropicals by Costa Farms. You can see right here, it is in a self-watering planter. I did see the newer trending tropical planters where it is literally a solid planter with no texture, and it is actually matte, so I really like the look of it. But these ones are currently the ones that have been released earlier this year. Now, this is an Alocasia Silver Dragon. I recently bought one of these again, and what I'm going to do with my Alocasia is actually take it out of the soil substrate and grow it in leca. I want to also grow some of my plants in semi-hydro, try to do pon. But the thing about it is when I was looking for pon on Amazon, I couldn't really find it. So after I'm done doing this edit for this video, I'm going to go to IKEA in Frisco to buy me some leca, to see if I can actually pot up some of my plants. So my plants from Green Spaces ID, which is an Indonesian seller that I imported from Indonesia, have been in water for about a week. They're doing well. I am planning on putting some of them in pond, but you can see this beautiful green shield. This is for $19.84. So Plant Foldies, let me know what you think. Would you actually buy this one? Like, I actually should have probably bought this, but I have spent quite a bit of money already on plants. That is the thing. I am going broke again because for the longest time, I was good about just going to a big box store and filming, but not necessarily buying plants. I don't know. That one was such a beautiful green shield. I think that plant is so beautiful as well. And that's the thing. Whenever you go to a big box store and you happen to get lucky to see a new restock, a new release by Costa Farms, you definitely want to check that out. And you're always tempted to purchase the plants because I always think that a plant restock, when they get off of a pallet and make it into a big box, or that's really only when the plants are going to be the most healthy. So we'll see if I can possibly restrain myself from buying plants today. You can see that this one right here is a Peperomia obtusifolia. Now this one is for $13.98. That is by Urban Jungle, and Urban Jungle has new planters as well, as a couple of new plants have been released. But there's always going to be this like circular fixture near the check lanes at Lowe's, so I happened to actually run by it and film it. Now we're gonna go to the main event and take a look at some of the indoor plants. Now, Lowe's in general, at least the Lowe's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, specifically North Dallas, have had some really good plants. You can see that they moved a lot of their crotons over there. There's always going to be that end cap with a bunch of live trends planters, but I wanted to take a little bit of time to show you this right here. What a stunning looking Croton Petra. Now this particular one for $19.98 is sourced out by Costa Farms. These ones have more of a yellowish leaf to it, and I've noticed that during the late summer and fall, you see more Croton plants available. I don't know if it's just because it has more of that autumn fall vibe to it. It is a beautiful plant. It is a challenging plant to grow indoors, however. Now, we also have a Begonia maculata here by Costa Farms for $19.98. Beautiful high variegation on this plant. Now, with Dieffenbachia or dumb cane, in a tropical plant, for instance, like the Philippines, I saw these become super massive and they were so easy to grow. They were actually growing out in full sun. Now, if you're going to grow them indoors in the Western world, like even in like North Dallas, for instance, they would need a lot of light, and you need to make sure that you are spraying it with neem oil to prevent them from getting spider mites, because Dieffenbachia, when grown indoors, are a little bit more spider mite prone. So that's the thing, plant foldies, and that is the reason why whenever I go to a big box store, I will continue to share my insights about what plants are more pest prone, what types of solutions you can do to prevent pests. My neem oil spray that I use, I swear by it, has been amazing for me. Anytime I buy a plant, for instance, like at a big box store, so say if I were to buy a plant at Lowe's today, I would definitely spray the leaves down, the top of the soil, in between the nodes, underneath the leaves, even the bottom of the drainage holes with my neem oil spray, just to make sure that I can eradicate any potential hitchhikers of pests. But anyways, to go back to it, you can see here, this is for $12.98. This is another ficus ginseng bonsai by Costa Farms. So Costa Farms has actually delved into the world of bonsai, but honestly, the world of bonsai for Costa Farms tends to be more of just what I would call pre-bonsai. And what that means is it's basically a plant that needs to be trained a little bit more, trimmed, shaped, and also planted in a more proper shallow bonsai plant pot planter. There are some different ones right here. Like you can see here, this is a jade bonsai, $12.98. I would call this a pre-bonsai. That's actually a really cool broom style type bonsai. Now, my plant foldie from Canada, Kathy, was asking me to do an update of my variegated jade bonsai I made earlier this year. It will definitely show because I am getting ready to do a houseplant tour. I am excited to show you some of my personal plant collection. I know my best friend Isaac, who was on the live premiere chat yesterday, was kind of putting it out there that I had an insane amount of plants. I wouldn't say so. My plant collection is definitely not perfect, but I am happy to do, share some of my plant styling and just some of my interior design as well. But that is to come soon. Now, this one is another type of bonsai, pre-bonsai. This one is one that's common. I totally forget what this plant ID is, but it is one that's super cute. Now, there are different types of bonsai that would be considered a shohin bonsai, which is basically a small miniature size one. They have mame bonsai, which are literally 2 to 3 inches in height, and those are miniature trees. Now, I also wanted to show you this. So we talk about Dracaena. So this is another type of lucky lucky bamboo called Dracaena sandriana. So you can see that these are the considered lucky bamboo, but it's actually not bamboo. It is a form of Dracaena. Now, pretty much all Dracaenas are easy to care for. Specifically this one, it does well in hydroponics or straight water. And then I want to pan over here and show you the hanging baskets by Costa Farms. So it looks like this Lowe's has actually gotten a pretty good restock on Costa Farms plants, as well as these mixed planters. So we've got a bromeliad and a croton plant here. I don't really know how I feel about mixed planters. I wouldn't necessarily do it. I like the plants to be a little bit more separated. Plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you like these mixed planters that we're seeing at big box stores, or would you prefer them to be potted up like this, like having them separated. Now these are 2094. These are assorted bromeliads sent by Costa Farms. So bromeliads, again, when I first started like big box store plant shopping videos, I always wondered why there were so many of them. And then I always asked a question about what is the hype about bromeliads. I do think that they are underrated plants. And then this one right here is for $13.98. I actually have this particular bromeliad here. It's done very well. And I ended up buying it on clearance at a grocery store called Kroger for literally $4. If I were to add another bromeliad from this collection, this one is for $13.98. I would buy this one because I love the pink streaks about it. And that's the thing about bromeliads, they are known to have blooms, but I actually like the pink foliage of them. Some of them have some extremely beautiful pink variegation, and they're readily available. Like this one right here almost looks like a Dracaena, But this is a bromeliad, and this is for $20.94. This is another Costa Farms plant. I am super thankful that Costa Farms has been able to source out many plants for the everyday plant lover like myself. I wouldn't be able to get these plants accessible at such a good price had, Costa Farms not been around. So thank you to Costa Farms for that. That is another plant nursery or supplier that is, I would even consider as probably the premier big box store supplier. And you can see right here, this is another bromeliads. Now this bromeliad has more of, relies more on the bloom. This one is for $13.98. I don't know a lot about bromeliads. What I do know is as I get more comfortable with my plant routines, where I'm able to take care of my plants without sending them to plant heaven, without having to neglect them, I will start adding more bromeliads. Because I mean, look at this, for $13.98. Look at how interesting that bloom is as well. There's just so many different varieties of bromeliads, and I've already seen quite a bit at this Lowe's. A little tidbit about this Lowe's. So I would say back in the winter last year, I visited this Lowe's location and I dubbed it as the worst Lowe's location because they just had a lot of dying plants. Things were just not kept. There were mealybugs, there were all sorts of pests, and it just wasn't looking right. But today, after visiting it, I would say it's one of the better looking Lowe's locations currently in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I am filming this in the first or second week of August, and you can see August 2024, and you can see they even have this pink lipstick plant hanging basket. Now I don't have any lipstick plants, but apparently lipstick plants, their texture of their leaves feel like a Hoya. Sometimes you could mistake them as a Hoya. They're easily spotted though because their new growth is a little bit more waxy and shiny. I don't know, there's something about it though. At times I thought that it was a Hoya, and you can see right here, hanging basket of glauca. This is a glauca plant. I don't know a lot about it. What I do know is look at how tiny the leaves are. They look like snowflakes. It's a really pretty plant. And all of these 8-inch hanging baskets by Costa Farms are $20.94 at Lowe's. There are many hanging baskets, and the thing about hanging baskets is I actually prefer the 6.5-inch hanging baskets, the smaller ones, because I feel like I could grow them. I can actually hang them. Hanging baskets in general, you need to really drill holes to be able to hang them into the ceiling, because I did try command strips, and while some of them could hold some of the hanging baskets, I'm not as comfortable actually putting this type of hanging basket with the command strip. I just feel like after watering the plant, the plant is going to be extremely heavy. So that's something that I am just going to be a little bit more cautious about. I do have a hanging basket of Hoya carnosa above my kitchen window, above my sink, and it's looking lovely. Now here are some more urban jungle planters. So the thing about urban jungle is, I would say Urban Jungles is probably a mix between Costa Farms and Live Trends. They have really nice plants. Their plants are affordable. Like all of these plants right here are for $13.98. I tend to find many different varieties of plants. They have decent looking planters. I would say their planters are not nearly as stylish as Live Trends, but they also have a lot of diversity of plants such as Costa Farms. I mean, you can see right here, this is an Alocasia Black Velvet. The thing is, do you notice how yellow the leaves are? That could be potentially some type of pest, maybe spider mites or thrift. So that's the thing, plant foldies, whenever you are going to a big box store, I say this in all of my videos, you want to make sure that you inspect the plant. So if there are any signs of pests in the plant, no matter how beautiful the plant is, I honestly would tell you to refrain from purchasing it, because if you were to bring a plant that's already infected with pests, there is a lot of care that you have to put in before you put it into your actual plant collection. I definitely would have, spray it down. I don't really like using systemic granules. I think there's something kind of heebie-jeebie creepy about it. Like I don't want to get cancer or anything like that, but I do put just a little bit if I were to like treat a plant for pests. So it's always better just to find a plant that is as healthy as can be. Like you can see here, beautiful silver band marantha. This one is for $13.98. I finally got a silver band marantha, and I was super excited because it was only for $5 at a local grocery store called HEB. Now HEB is only located in Texas, so for those that are not in Texas, especially the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Austin, and Houston, you're missing out because HEB, I feature them in all of my plant shopping videos. They've got some really inexpensive plants, and you will always be surprised about what you would find for the prices that you get. And you can see right here again, though, this is an urban jungle planter of some type of philodendron, maybe philodendron moonlight. And there are just quite a bit of urban jungle plants, and I love urban jungle plants. You know, the planters, however, like this one's for $22.94. This is a homolamena. Yep, I said it right. Homolamena Shelby. This one has more of a velvety texture leaf. This isn't the typical homolamena. Now, most homolamena almost look like a mix of like a Monstera deliciosa with heart-shaped leaf and a caladium. I don't know. I just kind of get that look. But this one apparently is a slightly finicky plant. I've had one before. I think I sent it to Plant Heaven. And then over here is a juvenile form of a Monstera deliciosa. $22.94 by Urban Jungle again. I wish that a Monstera deliciosa could just keep having leaves like that. Like I wish that the leaves would just get large and become heart-shaped, but without the fenestrations. I do find juvenile Monstera deliciosa so precious, and I don't know, I just like them, the look of them. That is another plant that if they could just have one where it wouldn't fenestrate, that would be super cool as well. Now, Plant Foldies, check this out for $22.94, sorry, is another type of Dieffenbachia. Now this one I like because not only does the planter look pretty cool, like I actually could put that planter in my plant collection, love that, but I love the white streak, that white margin on the leaves. I think that is so lovely. You know, it's not a really variegated plant, it's just a green plant with a white streak. Beautiful plant. Again, with Dieffenbachias, once I stabilize my plant collection, my indoor space, I am going to start buying Dieffenbachias because there was a part of me when I went to the Philippines that really inspired me to want to try to grow that plant because they were so beautiful in the Philippines. I'm telling you, if you haven't made it to my plant content from the Philippines, definitely check it out. It's under a playlist called Plant Tourism. I've also got some local plant shops from Austin. That's another type of content I want to do, is where whenever I go on vacation, I want to go to like local nurseries. I want to go places where they have native plants and really film that as well. So Plant Foldies, again, please let me know if that is the type of content you would like to see. Let me know what other content you want to see on my plant channel. I know that I've been doing pretty much big box store videos like this. I mean, but how can you help not going to a big box store and looking at this? Like this one right here is another urban jungle Ficus lyrata. This one is actually super cute to me. Like I would love to just buy this one because look at how like round the leaves are. Now my fiddle fig leaf or Ficus lyrata that I bought for 99 cents, same size, at another grocery store called Sprouts, is doing well. Now, you know, some people will say that this plant is a finicky plant. I will say that that plant about 3 to 4 years ago was the it plant. Like every House Digest, every interior design magazine featured the fiddle fig leaf. But little did people know that that plant actually requires quite a bit of light and just lots of care. Over here, though, for $13.98 by Costa Farms is another blooming anthurium. Here's the thing about anthuriums. This is the most common anthurium. I love the leaves more so than the blooms. Now, I am starting to get into anthuriums because I ended up getting a beautiful anthurium from Green Spaces ID. Check out my import unboxing video on that. And just a little bit of a plug. If you are going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, you can go pre-order plants from Green Spaces ID. You won't have to pay for the shipping. You can just pick them up because I believe they're going to be bringing those plants anyway. That's a really good deal, especially the fact that, you know, Green Spaces ID has a lot of nice plants. I ended up doing another batch of plants where I think I'm getting 8 plants, and then they were so kind enough to give me a bonus plant, so they're going to give me a free anthurium. So plant foldies, again, if you are a local plant foldie that's going to PlantCon 2024, definitely check out the Green Spaces ID website. If you're going to do a order, you can also just let me know, or and see if I can let the seller know, so maybe they might be able to get you a free plant. I know that if you end up buying plants from Green Spaces ID, you can use my promo code Richie20 to get 20% off of your purchase, and the first 5 plant foldies to do an order from Green Spaces ID will receive, I think, 1 or 2 free bonus plants. So super cool deal. But anyways, going back to the plants, as you can see here, a lot of these urban jungle plants are readily available, and now we're looking at live transplants. So this one right here is for $24.98. This is a philodendron moonlight, I believe. Love neon color plants. This one isn't as yellow as some of the other ones I've seen. You can see that there is a new leaf that is about to come out, and you can see right over here it's another live transplant. You can see that that is the price right there, $24.98. This one is a bird's nest anthurium. And then again, I'm not anthurium, I'm sorry, bird's nest fern. I've seen these become 3 to 4, 5 feet in width in the Philippines. They get massive, but I am really happy to see that this particular Lowe's has restocked, has beautiful merchandising, things are organized. And so if you are near the Melissa, Texas area, Anna, Texas area, you might want to just drive down, which is about, I think, 10 minutes down the road to go to this Lowe's location. I mean, you can see right here, this is a teddy bear vine, but what's interesting is I've never seen a teddy bear vine have, foliage that large. Now this one is the 6.5 inch hanging basket planters. These are by Costa Farms. They're typically $16.98. Would love to be able to get a hold of that one. And then you can see right over here, this is another hanging basket, and it's another plant I'm not really familiar with. I do like the look of it. This is a Dianthiflora alisobia plant. I think that's how you pronounce it. It does require high light, so it's going to need a lot of bright light for it to really do well. It does have some nice texture to the leaves. You can see that there is a subtle purple vein on the leaf as well. It has fuzzy leaves, and that's the thing about plants though with fuzzy leaves. I always feel like plants that are fuzzy leaf or velvety tend to be a little bit more spider mite prone. Maybe I'm just a little bit paranoid about plant pests. I don't know, plant foldies. Let me know in the comments if you're the type of plant parent that just really doesn't like pests and it just gives you a bad vibe when it comes to just finding anything. Now, I was talking to PETA, who is the owner of PETA's Planters, and she did mention that, you know, plant pests are part of growing plants. You know, it's a natural part of plants. And when you think about it, all of these plants we're looking at today, for instance, we're taking them out of a natural environment where they have, they're outside, they've got rainwater, they've got humidity, they've got natural pest predators like ladybugs or just things like that help prevent plant pests. And that's the reason why you don't really see a lot of plant pests out in the wild. Now over here is another beautiful Costa Farms Trending Tropicals plant. This is a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. People will call this the mini monstera. Look at how long that aerial root is. This is a super healthy looking plant, $19.84. And again, I am just excited. I mean, plant foldies, I haven't really seen a full-blown restock of plants for a big box store like Lowe's in quite some time. I did talk to the person who was running the garden section, and they did mention that they received these plants about 3 days ago. So I am off this weekend. I'm super excited because I will be visiting lots of plant shops. PETA's Planters, for instance, and I know that I keep plugging PETA's Planters. I promise you they have not paid me for a sponsorship. I legitimately love their plants. I will be doing a new video of their shop this Saturday, but I will also be hitting up a lot of these big box store plants just to see what else they have here. I'm super inspired because seeing new plants like this is another urban jungle plant. This is another Dracaena Tornado, but this one isn't the variegated form. It looks like it's just the green form. Now with Dracaenas in general, they are low light tolerant, they are drought tolerant, they're easy to take care of. Plant foldies, you need to add one to your plant collection. I wouldn't recommend adding this beautiful plant to your plant collection, even though it's only for $13.98. That is a beautiful Calathea. Calatheas, again, for some reason, and I asked all of my plant foldies watching this video tonight or today or whenever, have you been able to grow a Calathea long-term for more than 2 years? Please leave in the comments if you have. I might even send you a free plant if you've been able to successfully do that and prove that you did, because Calatheas, they're just tough. Now here is an interesting plant. So this is a Ficus altissima, but Ficus altissima, this one doesn't really have any type of variegation. Normally it's like a yellow and green variegation. I would think that that plant just didn't get enough light. And then over here, another live transplanter. This is another Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf tree. This one is for $24.98. Now that's my only critique again, and I say this in every single video. Live trans, please stop using the fake moss as a top dressing. I would prefer to see like maybe orchid bark or something of that nature. I just think that the fake moss, when you water the plant from the top, it just keeps the soil surface too wet, and that could potentially rot the roots of a plant. So that's just my opinion. I hope that maybe Live Trends would make take that suggestion. But you can see right here, this is a dark Pittsburgh Hedera helix. Yes, we find another Hedera helix. Love me some English ivy. And this one is just a nice green one for $20.98. Again, plant foldies, that is a plant. I beg to ask anybody, have you been able to also grow that without getting spider mites indoors? Please let me know. And then this one is a Rex begonia, and this one is actually 50% off for $20.98. So it's going to be 50% off of that. This still looks pretty healthy. Look at how beautiful the undersides of the leaves are. You know, there's something about Rex begonias that are also tempting, but for me, this is another plant that I have kind of given up on trying to grow. I have tried to grow 4 of them this year, and 4 of them have all made it to plant heaven. So I just think that, you know, Rex begonias, that's just not for me. This is honestly for me, but not for me, and that is another Hedera helix. This one is for $20.94. Again, this is another curly looking English ivy. Now this one doesn't actually have a cultivar name. It just says ivy. I'm actually curious to see if anybody who works for Costa Farms, or if there's a resource of Costa Farms English ivy or Hedera helix English ivy varieties that they sell. Please let me know. I'm curious to see, because there was actually another Lowe's location where they tend to just have a bunch of Hedera helix. I think there was one video where I literally said it like 25 times because they had so many different varieties. But plant foldies, what do you think about these beautiful plants? Like, are you impressed with the plants, the plant organization, the kind of plants that they have? I mean, look at this massive Dutch staghorn fern or a platycerium. This is a beautiful staghorn fern, $20.98. And I've seen these also in the Philippines, and they get massive, as in, I don't know, a span of 6 feet in width, but these are so beautiful as well. Now, some people will actually mount this on like a wooden plank. You know, I talked about doing that. I might do that, but then again, I don't know a lot about staghorn ferns. I know that people do mount them. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments what the plant care tips are. Do they require a lot of humidity? What does that all look like, since it is some type of fern? This is a beautiful specimen though, and you can tell that these plants have just been recently restocked at this particular Lowe's. So again, if you are in the North McKinney area, you can just get on 75 and check this one out. This is right next to the Super Target off of I-75, so definitely check that out. You can see right over here, plant foldies, another bromelia. This is for $13.98. And, you know, bromeliads, again, they are a commonly found plant, but I've actually grown to like them. And then you can see over here, again, more urban jungle plants. Now, this one is for $22.94. This is the Alpinia plant. I had one before. I ended up getting it for 99 cents, same size and everything at Sprouts. It was literally on liquidation clearance, but I ended up just not watering it for 2 weeks, and well, it just kind of got really brown leaves and it just didn't look healthy. So I decided that I would just end up just composting it and sending it to plant heaven a little bit sooner. You know, there are times where I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, plant foldies, where you might have a plant that has really declined in its health, and you know, you make that decision on whether you want to try to rehab the plant or do you think it's just worth composting. I have had to make decisions like that because there were times where I'm like, the plant is literally on the brink of death. Do I really want to invest that much time? Time is already precious. I don't necessarily have the most time on my hands. You know, I mentioned this in a lot of my plant shopping videos, but I do have a very demanding job. Actually, plant YouTube is really a de-stressor for me. And so just being able to invest too much time in rehabbing a plant is not always on the top of my priority list. Now, this one could be on the top of my priority list just because look at how beautiful this is. This is a beautiful philodendron moonlight. I have seen huge specimens of that as well. And that is an easy to care for plant. Now, that's the thing about plants. If you're going to ask me easy to care for plants, I would definitely recommend pothos plants and philodendrons. Syngoniums, those three are really quintessential to a plant collection. Now, the Ficus elastica or rubber tree plant, like this one right here is the ruby, I believe. These would be more of the intermediate plants. So this isn't necessarily a hard to care for plant, but that is a plant that takes a little bit more experience. And I think it's because mostly the lighting conditions that it requires. And I would also say that about Dieffenbachia. Now, more challenging plants that you could find at big box stores would definitely be Alocasia, Calathea, and Ficus plants. Those three are definitely challenging, and the number one challenging plant is a Hydra helix, or an English ivy. I am just baffled that people have been able to grow some of those indoors, because every single one of them, I've literally tried to grow 14 of them, and all 14 of them have made it to plant heaven. They just don't do well for me. Now, the philodendron cordatum, that did well for me. Now, this one right here again is a Jubilee Hydra helix. This one is another beautiful English ivy, and what I like about the Jubilee English ivy is it has like a gray silver tone about it. It's got a dusty look about it. And look at how beautiful it is. It is trailing. And you would think that English ivy would be an easy plant. I remember when I was growing up, I had a couple of teachers in elementary that actually had English ivies, and they just grew them indoors. So I don't know if, you know, English ivies were just easier to take care of back then. Like, plant foldies, let me know. I know that they are easy to take care of when they're outside. So and you know, when it comes down to it, if you have any plant that you're struggling with to grow indoors, if you take them outside, that is like the natural way to rehab them and really have them bounce back. That's what I'm doing with a lot of my Syngoniums, actually. And then you can see over here, this is a mistletoe cactus, trailing cactus. Really cool looking plant, again, by Costa Farms Exotic Angels Hanging Basket. $20.94. This is an 8.5-inch planter. I do like the look of this. It looks like hair, and you can actually put it on like a really cool planter, maybe like a face planter. But as I pan away over here, plant foldies, just let me know what you guys think. I love the look of this planter, for instance, by Live Trends. This is a stump Pachira aquatica, or money tree plant. I love the look of a money tree plant. It is a pretty easy grower. I will say the only plant pest that it is susceptible to is spider mite, so just have to stay on top of that. But as far as this plant, one of my wish list plants is to find a variegated form. Maybe I'll be able to find one at PlantCon 2024. We'll see. Now, this is an Ulmus pulva, or a Chinese elm. This one is for $30.98. And if they actually put this on half off, I would totally buy it, because look at the curvature of the trunk. That looks really nice. I would totally repot it in a actual shallow bonsai pot. It is actually one of the actual first bonsais I've ever had. I actually had one that was 14 years old. Unfortunately, it ended up going to plant heaven about 4 years ago. Just something happened to where it didn't bounce back from the winter. It is a deciduous plant, or for those that don't know what deciduous means, it is a tree that actually loses its leaves in the winter, goes to sleep, and comes back in the spring. But I also wanted to show you some of my aesthetics of what planters I like. Like, I like this. I like that terracotta look about it. I also like how simple the shape is. Now you can see right next to it has that yellow planter. That's not something that I'm really into, like patterns and textures. I do like that gray planter. I also like very natural looking planters. I also love terracotta planters. I feel like terracotta planters are just classic. Some of these planters have a little bit more texture, like this one right here. It's okay. This one, I wouldn't be so into it just because I feel like it takes away from the plant. I definitely am not a fan of like shiny glazed planters, or at least I haven't been. I prefer planters that are a little bit more on the matte side. But again, that's just, share some of my insights or what I like for my planters. Now, plant foldies, you can see right over here, we have some more hanging baskets of Costa Farms plants, and that's the thing that excites me. Now, these are the 6.5-inch planters. This is a black rabbit's foot fern for $16.98. I've been told that this fern is actually fairly easy to take care of, so that might be something I might add, and this is actually super gorgeous to me. So this is a Tradescantia burgundy, and this one is super lush and full. It's not really leggy. I love how it's super compact. I love the dark foliage of the leaves. Purple plants, dark foliage plants, there's an elegance about them as well. And then this one is an Especia Pink Panther. Now, I like this because they also call this the flame violet. It's similar to an African violet. You can see that it is blooming. I love the iridescent leaves, how shiny it is. It's got a metallic look about it. It doesn't even look like a real plant. It looks more like a metal plated plant. I do like that it's a pretty easy growing plant from what I've heard, and it also blooms, so that's also a plus. And I would think that all of those offshoots would just be easy to take cuttings from and actually propagate. So plant foldies, let me know if you've actually grown an Especia plant. And you can see there are several self-watering planters. This one is another trending tropicals plant. This is an Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. Some people will say this is global green, but this is a lemon meringue pothos because you can see that there is a little bit yellow variegation. That plant definitely needs a lot of light for it to even have the really good yellow variegation. And as I pan away over here, I mean, this big box store, this Lowe's, is actually doing a lot for me. Like, look at this. Another beautiful philodendron heteroecium for $16.98. This is just the green form, but I love the heart-shaped leaves that it has. This is another plant that some people will say is common. It is a plant that I want to actually add to my collection. So I've got a lot of philodendron heteroeciums. I've got the philodendron heteroecium Brazil, Silver Stripe, Rio, and Gabi. Now this one right here is a kangaroo fern. This actually looks pretty cool actually. For $16.98. Again, this is in the 6.5-inch hanging basket. Something about the 6.5-inch hanging baskets for me by Costa Farms tends to be more of what would actually pique my interest because it doesn't take a lot of surface space. I don't know if you plant foldies or anybody who grows plants actually look at space constraints. For me, I have a pretty good size house, but I also have inundated my plant collection with so many plants. So sometimes I have to really think and choose which plant sizes I want. A lot of my plants are in 6-inch planters. I've got some 8-inch planters. I've got some 10-inch planters, but my hanging baskets, I want to try to keep at 6.5 inches. Now here are some more philodendron Pink Princess. So these are Costa Farms trending tropicals. And what I've noticed about Costa Farms philodendron Pink Princess is they don't really have the dark burgundy leaves. They almost look like philodendron red Andersons, but this one is a good example of a philodendron Pink Princess. If I were to buy one today, I would definitely buy this one. This one's for $19.84. Look at how beautiful that variegation is. And the reason why you want to find a variegated philodendron Pink Princess like this is because philodendron Pink Princess variegation really depends on its initial genetics, its initial lineage. So if you have something that's already highly variegated like this, it is highly likely to produce variegation. Now, Philodendron Pink Princess in general doesn't really have like stable variegation, but you have a higher chance. Now, all of the other ones have more very small variegation. So for the most part, I don't think it'll push out as much variegation as that one I picked up. But it's another beautiful trending tropicals plant by Costa Farms, and I'm so happy that these are back in the market. This is another Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema pink Siam. So it's not the red Siam, pink Siam. It has beautiful pink margins. I love that a lot. And actually, if you give it a lot more light, the leaves end up becoming even more pink. I'll have to actually take a photo of it and post it on my Instagram. So Plant Foldies, if you are on Instagram, follow me at Growfolds. That is a fast way to get in touch with me. But this is another Aglaonema by Costa Farms, trending tropicals, $19.84. This is the Aglaonema Pink Siam in a self-watering planter. So you can see Plant Foldies. Today I lucked out by being able to find this beautiful Lowe's plants. All of these big box stores have restocks. I just happened to run into one where they did have quite a bit of restock. Like right over here, another trending tropicals, $19.98, is a Xanthosoma, or a this is a plant that is almost like a cross between an Alocasia or a Caladium. So either way, it is a beautiful plant. Look at how beautiful the leaves are. That is another plant that I am actually thinking about adding to my collection. There's a lot of trending tropical plants that I want to add to my collection. I mean, I guess it would be easy to do so since, Costa Farms tends to like release all of these plants. The thing about it is you really have to be mindful about how much you're spending. Because I mean, look at this right here. This is a green shield plant. Beautiful plant again. I think the ones earlier that I picked up were better specimens. They had more plants. That's the thing to Plant Foldies. If you are going big box store plant shopping, you want to make sure that you are checking to see if a plant has multiple plants in its pot, because then you actually get more value out of the plant. You'll be able to get more plants. Some people will separate them and get multiple plants, but for the most part, I would say, trending tropicals like this one right here, this Philodendron Pink Princess, it's got okay variegation, but there are 2 plants in this planter, for instance. And then you can see right over here again, there is some variegation to it. You can clearly tell that this Philodendron Pink Princess is more tissue cultured. And the way you can tell a Philodendron Pink Princess as being tissue cultured versus like the original Pink Princess is a Pink Princess, the original one has less narrow leaves. These ones that are tissue cultured tend to be more narrow leaf. And again, this is another Hydra Helix. This is another dark Pittsburgh English ivy hanging basket. That one is for $20.84. And then we also have another hanging basket of Philodendron Hederaceum, trailing mistletoe cactus. And then we also have this lipstick plant right here. This one needs to be watered a little bit. You can see that some of the leaves are a little bit droopy. That's the thing about plants too. Some plants will tell you when they're thirsty. Some plants will not. I call them the dramatic plants, the ones that will tell you that they're thirsty. Now, Dracaenas right here, these are all for $12.98. Again, these are Costa Farms Dracaenas. You can see that one might be a lemon lime. This one is a Dracaena Dorado. So the Dracaena Dorado tends to have less compact leaves. The leaves are a little bit larger. They've got that green margin as well on it. And you can see right over here, one of my favorites, and I actually don't have this, but I always tell people they need to get it. This is a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta, one of the easiest plants to grow, and it actually can get pretty large. Plant Foldies, I would highly recommend it. It is a beautiful plant. And then you can also see right here, we've got some type of Dieffenbachia for $12.98. This is another Costa Farms release. So Costa Farms is really doing a great job, at least pushing out more plants. You would think that in the summer with 100+ degree weather, some of these plants would not make it into this big box store, but clearly they have been restocked and they look super healthy. All of these are hanging baskets from Live Trends. I featured this in another video, but you can see there's just so many different varieties to pick from. And that's the thing, Plant Foldies. Do you have all of the plants that I've shown so far? I'm also glad that they finally have another batch of Aglaonemas, like this pink Aglaonemas. I don't have any more pink Aglaonemas in my plant collection, so I'm going to have to restock. They ended up going to Plant Heaven. I actually have 3 aglaonemas that I imported from Indonesia that I'm rehabbing, and it's because of my negligence. I literally didn't water them for about a month, and then they ended up just not doing well. You know, I talk about aglaonemas being more drought tolerant. They are, because you really don't want to overwater them. That is the fastest way for them to decline in health. But then also underwatering them will also do the same thing. But you can see here, beautiful pink reddish foliage. Now with these types of aglaonema, you want to make sure that you're providing them with a lot of light. People will market these aglaonema as low light tolerant. I suppose they are, but you're not going to get the beautiful coloration that they would if they were in better lighting. Here is an aglaonema, a red Siam. So this is just the common aglaonema. Some people will also call this the Siam Aurora. This one's in a self-watering planter, and this one is for $15.98. The Trending Tropicals red one though is $19.98. So there are quite a bit of aglaonema. So I've seen at least 3 so far. Super excited to see that, you know, especially for big box stores. I think they need to do more of that, is just to showcase that. And obviously look at how beautiful that yellow Croton Petra is. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this end cap because I've featured this before, but you see that there are some pothos plants there. We've got them from Live Trends. They've got some new planters. This one is an urban jungle planter, philodendron Hederaceum lemon lime. So that's the yellow form. This one's for $14.98. Beautiful plant. Love the heart-shaped leaf. This is another plant though that in order for it to really have that nice neon green, almost yellow color, you want to provide it with a lot of light. Same thing with an Epipremnum aureum neon pothos. It's another plant of mine that I feel like if you put it into a space, it literally lights it up. Look at how beautiful that foliage is, and that is one of the easiest plants to take care of. Now this one right here is for $18.98. This is a new Trending Tropicals planter. I do like that coffee look, that brown tan look, and this is a Haworthia. So Haworthias, let's talk about Haworthias. Haworthias plantfolies are succulent plants, but apparently this succulent can actually tolerate being in lower light conditions. So it doesn't necessarily need to have as much bright light, or at least I've done my research on it. Now I don't currently have Haworthias in my plant collection, but I do find them quite interesting. They have some different varieties, and Live Trends actually has some pretty cool planters. I do like the mixture of style and texture. Like this yellow is a really nice look with the brown. So I do like those natural tones about these planters. That's something that I could work with. I just prefer very simple planters, but that one I could work with for my aesthetic. And then over here, we have some more Live Trends planters. This one right here is more of like a peach color, and this is a philodendron Summer Glory. Beautiful philodendron. It has a beautiful natural satin finish to its leaves. It can get fairly large, and I was actually able to get 2 of them. One was on sale for 99 cents as well, so I was super excited about that. And then as you can see here, and I'm going to pan away, a bunch of starter planters of Exotic Angels by Costa Farms. You can see we got some hanging baskets. So plantfolies, I'm just going to go through a couple more here. Now these are plants that you will typically see at a big box store. So we've got a Fittonia right here, $5.98. And you'll notice that the Costa Farms Exotic Angels have that little string underneath. That's for self-watering planters. So I believe that Lowe's actually sells self-watering planters, and these are meant to just drop in there. This one is a gold dust croton, beautiful plant. We've got another philodendron Hederaceum, just a green form, $5.98. Now I have found Exotic Angel plants for a lot cheaper, $5 at Target. So that's the thing, plantfolies. You want to compare and contrast certain big box stores on their plants. There's just, maybe $1 or $2 difference between Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, and then I'm just surprised that Target actually had the cheapest Exotic Angel plants. So that was interesting because, some people will say that Target tends to be a little bit more pricey. So if you are a plantfolie that lives in the United States, you'll understand. Now for my international plantfolies, I did want to say thank you so much for finding my videos. I hope that, your stores will have all of these plants like these big box stores. I will say that living in the United States, especially in Texas, North Texas, we are fortunate to be able to find plants like these. Costa Farms does an amazing job sourcing these out, and it'd be really fun to just take a plantfolie. Like I'm even thinking that if I'm able to save up some funds, maybe even doing a contest where I could go plant shopping with a local plant foldie and like have a budget where we can just collect a bunch of exotic angel plants. That would be a cool episode. You know, I'm just trying to think of different content that I can do. I am also going to be opening up a Patreon page. So for those that want to support me, I may have a Patreon page because I think that will help with some of my costs in terms of my travel, my gas, and even just my plants. You know, being able to find some supplementary income. So if you want to be a patron for my YouTube channel, I'm going to go ahead and start trying to set that up. Plant foldies though, what do you guys think so far of all the plants? Do you find that this restock, like this Hydra Helix for $7.98 right here, this one doesn't even have an actual name, although it's beautiful variegation. I am just so happy that I was able to go to a Lowe's today and find a legitimate restock. Like, you can clearly tell that this big box store has quite a bit of inexpensive plants, good selection, super healthy plants. Now, I don't want to be a pessimist, but I'm going to give this big box store maybe 3 weeks, and maybe I'll revisit it to see if the plant's health will remain the same. That's the only thing, is if you're going to buy plants at a big box store, now is the time. Like this right here, beautiful Fittonia, $7.98. This is in a 5-inch planter. So there's different types of Fittonia. This one right here is a Fittonia for $7.98. You can see that that is another pink foliage one. Gotta love Fittonias. I don't have them in my collection because they require a little bit more water than I am used to doing for my plants. I've had this before. This is a snow white waffle plant for $7.98, and I do find this plant so beautiful. Look at how beautiful the pink is. Look at how beautiful just the purple undersides is. The only thing is, this plant requires quite a bit of humidity and it needs a lot of water. Those are two things that I cannot consistently provide, and that's the reason why plant foldies, you've really got to look at your growing conditions for your plants, the environment you have in your household, the amount of time. I say this in every single video, and I will continue to say that, just because I feel like that advice alone is really gonna play or dictate what plants you actually put in your plant collection. Like for instance, this Rex begonia, and I find this extremely beautiful. Look at how metallic it is. It's got some beautiful pinks, purples, lavenders, silvers, and this is for $7.98. As much as I want to take this plant because it looks like silver and like foil, I just know for some reason my environment, or at least the amount of time I can invest into it, is not going to be enough to keep that plant happy. Now, plants like this is a lemon Dracaena right here, lemon light Dracaena, $7.98. That's an easy to care for plant. That one is also a plant that doesn't really require a lot of light or water. And then here is a Dracaena white jewel, $7.98, again by Costa Farms Exotic Angels. Now, these are the plants that I'm picking up. All of those Dracaenas that you're seeing are plants that are pretty versatile for any type of home. And so that's why plant foldies, it's just very important for us to like look at these easy to care for plants. This is a Dracaena Lemon Surprise. It looks like they've even cut some of the dead leaves from it, or at least the browning parts. I do that with my plants too. That way it looks more aesthetically pleasing. But plant foldies, as you can see here is a Epipremnum pinnatum Baltic Blue. Cool looking Epipremnum pinnatum, and usually Epipremnum pinnatum, before they start fenestrating or splitting their leaves, they need to like actually climb up a pole. But this particular Epipremnum pinnatum actually fenestrates without having to climb. So I find that super cool. But anyways, plant foldies, what do you guys think of this restock of plants? Do you have any wish list plants that I've shown you today? What plants do you want to grow in your plant collection? Plant foldies, I just get so much joy being able to film these plants. I say that in all of my videos, and when I say that I am super excited about PlantCon, I am really excited to finally meet some of you guys in person. Thank you to those that have actually reached out to and had interest about getting the Grow Folds t-shirt. I definitely will have those for you guys available. But as you can see here, plant foldies, it's been super fun to just kind of look around, and I love how they've staged these croton plants to be like the centerpiece. It almost draws you in to want to go look and shop at these plants. So if you like this video today, please make sure you are hitting the like button. That is extremely helpful for my YouTube channel. It'll push my content to even more plant lovers like yourself. And if you haven't already and you made it this far, please subscribe to Growfold with all the notification bell on. This is Richie. I will have a brand new video for you tomorrow. Bye. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of Preston Road in Frisco, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Growfolds. Today is a beautiful late afternoon visit to this Lowe's. I often go to this Lowe's just because, again, I like to check to see if there are any more houseplants. You can see that Halloween is just around the corner. Summer is still in full effect, and I have been visiting a lot of big box stores just to see if they've actually downsized on plants or have gotten restocked. So I've actually went to another Lowe's up in North McKinney, Texas. And for my plant foldies, those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome. I have lucked out by seeing a bunch of new trending tropical plants and plants from Costa Farms, and it looks like right off the bat, this Lowe's has been restocked with a lot of plants. You can see right here, Live Trends always has some seasonally relevant plants. Like you can see right here, these are some Halloween inspired like skeleton type planters. $7.89 for this right here, and they have a bunch of these air plants. Now, what I like about Live Trends is Live Trends plants always has the most stylish, most modern looking planters. I find them brilliant in the fact that every time there is a season, they always have some really cool planters. Like they look like these skulls look like they're doing some type of yoga poses. Now, plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you find this interesting or scary or both. I'd like to know. And again, to all of the viewers and subscribers, thank you so much for helping me reach 10,000 YouTube subscribers yesterday. It was a huge milestone, and I'll tell you, the only reason why I have gotten this far is because of you. You continue to make it to the live premiere chats. Y'all continue to hit the like button, to comment, to share my videos, and to watch all of my videos all the way through. I never expected to get 10,000 subscribers this fast or ever, really, because I started this plant content just because I wanted to talk about plants for at least an hour. I find that doing big box or plant shopping videos or just plants in general where I get to chat and talk about my thoughts has really been awesome. So thank you for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers. And you can see right here, plant foldies, they've got some Halloween theme planters. This one is a super cute one. I think out of all of the planters, I like the kitty cat one. Here is a black cat planter right here. I really like that a lot. It's actually more on the cute side for Live Trends, and you can see all of the plants that are sitting on the kitties are actually Haworthias. And again, Haworthias are succulents that actually can tolerate lower light conditions. And then I talked about Costa Farms plants. They've gotten quite a bit of new plants hitting the market, at least in the North Dallas area. I am based out in North Dallas, and that's the reason why I like going to a lot of these big box stores in this area. Typically in Frisco, McKinney, Prosper, Allen, those areas is really where I cycle through all of these big box stores. But you can see right there, we have a beautiful Croton Petra, and I know that either you love crotons or hate crotons. I happen to love them because they have some beautiful colorful foliage. And then over here we have some self-watering planters by Costa Farm. These are for $15.98, and this is a Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf. What I like about the fiddle fig leaf is obviously just the large leaves it gets in its native habitats such as the Philippines. That's actually where my family is originally from. They can get up to 20 to 30 feet tall as a full blown tree in full sun. So again, plant foldies, I've talked about it in all of my videos. All of these houseplants or tropical plants that we see at a big box store, they come from a different source, and that's typically from a Southeast Asian country or some tropical humid environment. And so you can see that these plants can actually grow the full potential if you are able to closely provide their natural habitat. Now, obviously, high humidity, light, and all of that may not always be possible for everybody, just because that would be more so of like a greenhouse type of situation. But if you're able to get as close to their natural environment, the plant tends to not need as much plant care. Now, that one right there, the ZZ plant, doesn't need as much care just because it is drought tolerant and low light tolerant. But you can see right here, I can't really pronounce the name of this particular plant. I'm gonna go by the Costa Farms name, which is Green Shields. Beautiful plant in a self-watering planter. I actually want to get one of these. I saw one at another Lowe's that I featured, and you know, it is for, I believe, $19.89, so it's not a bad price at all. But with PlantCon 2024 around the corner, I'm really just trying to save all the money I have so I can actually purchase some of these rare and uncommon plants at the PlantCon convention. And for all of the plant foldies visiting PlantCon, I really hope to meet you guys in person. We're hoping to do a meetup around PETA's Planters booth at PlantCon 2024 in Dallas around 11 o'clock. I will be wearing a Grow Folds t-shirt, so you'll easily be able to spot me. And so I look forward to meeting y'all. And if you are interested in a Grow Folds t-shirt, please send an Instagram message so that way I can get your size. I have 4 different colors. They are retailing at $20 just because of the production cost. But I hope you guys would be able to buy one of those t-shirts to support the channel and just show that you are a plant foldie. As you can see here, we do have some more beautiful self-watering planters. This one is a common but reliable plant. This is called an Aglaonema red Siam, and I love Aglaonema red Siam because it is an easy to care for plant. Actually, all Aglaonemas tend to be on the easier side, and this is super exciting plant foldies. This one is a trending tropicals plant. This one is an Aglaonema pink Siam. So it looks like an Aglaonema red Siam, but the difference is obviously it has pink borders. It's got pink stems. I've had this one for quite a while, and actually if you give it quite a bit of light, the leaves tend to end up being a little bit more pink in general. And I need to show you guys that whenever I do my houseplant tour. But I love Aglaonema pink Siam. You can see this is the Aglaonema red Siam right here, 1998 in a self-watering planter. And the thing about Aglaonema is they are marketed as a lower light tolerant plant. It is, but honestly, you need to go ahead and give it bright indirect light if possible. Grow it under a grow light if possible, just because you will get the best coloration for it. What I do like about Aglaonemas is they are a little bit more drought tolerant. But I'm going to pan over here and just show you how full this Lowe's is. I love the fact that Costa Farms is starting to release some more trending tropicals restock. So you can see right over here, plant foldies. We've got a beautiful philodendron pink princess. I love the variegation on this one specifically. And then this one is also for $19.98. Beautiful variegation. It looks like there are 2 plants here. And what I like about the philodendron pink princess from Costa Farms is there is a very distinct look about them. They've got those nice green foliage. It's not necessarily a dark foliage plant. I love the pink variegation. I will say not all of the philodendron pink princess are created equal. And when it comes down to a philodendron pink princess, you want to make sure that you're finding one with high variegation. Like this one has okay variegation, because the actual variegation on a philodendron pink princess is not necessarily stable. I would say that the initial genetics of a philodendron pink princess is what really dictates the variegation. You can give it a little bit more bright light, maybe to promote a little bit of it, but in terms of actually getting the variegation to push out, it wouldn't necessarily do too much for that particular philodendron. Now for $19.98, this is a Scindapsus trubii Moonlight. I do love the look of the Scindapsus. It's got a nice like aquamarine green tone about it. I also like that that subtle veining on the middle part of the leaf. This is a slower growing plant. It's similar to an Epipremnum aureum or pothos plant, but it's not as quickly, it doesn't grow as quickly as a pothos plant. But I do love the fact that they are in self-watering planters. You know, with Trending Tropicals by Costa Farms, the good thing about it is you always will see a restock of plants. Now, as far as Scindapsus trubii moonlight, I mean, you will see this pretty much in season. Sometimes the Aglaonema, sometimes the Philodendron Pink Princess are not always available, but you will definitely see that. Also, Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This is another Trending Tropical by Costa Farms. This is again for $19.98. I haven't been able to grow a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma long term. I mean, it is considered an easy to care for plant. Now, I will say the natural growth habit of this particular plant needs to be climbing. It's not a plant that you can literally have grow as a hanging basket. The stems will actually refuse to actually trail down. It really wants to push itself up. But as you can see here, this is a pretty full Lowe's location, and so maybe a bunch of the Lowe's locations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is just getting a bunch of restocks. I'm glad that Costa Farms is pushing a bunch of plants. I mean, you can see over here, there's just quite a bit. This table is pretty much Costa Farms with a little bit of live transplants. Like over here, this is a beautiful high variegation of a Dieffenbachia maculata. This one is in a larger planter here, and you can see that it's a really healthy looking plant. This one is for $22.98 by Costa Farms. Now with Dieffenbachia plant foliage, you do need to provide it with quite a bit of bright indirect light. It is a little bit more spider mite prone, so just make sure that you're staying on top of your pest control. And then here's a beautiful Croton Petra for $19.98. And I like these specific Croton Petras because this one tends to have more of a yellow leaf color. Look at how beautiful it is. I do notice that a lot of crotons start to pop up around the fall season. So, you know, it is late summer heading into fall, and you'll see a lot of people decorating their patios with croton plants. They do have like more of a fall vibe to them. I love croton plants. And, you know, this is a plant though that I would say most people either love it or hate it. I absolutely love them, especially when I saw them growing as full-grown trees in a tropical country like the Philippines. You know, my family is originally from the Philippines, and I've seen these just thrive outdoors, and they were in full sun and they were living their best life. Now over here is another type of Dracaena here. This is a larger form Dracaena. I do like that this Dracaena has these green stripes on it. It's beautiful. It is only for $22.98. It does say bright light, but this particular Dracaena, or just Dracaenas in general, typically can tolerate lower light conditions. There are a few plants, you know, Dracaenas that may need a little bit more bright light. In general though, even though a plant can tolerate lower light conditions, I've said this in all of my videos, you want to give the best lighting conditions for a plant. So if you can keep the plant from being in a lower light condition, go ahead and provide it better lighting. You will get better growth, you will get better variegation, you'll get better coloration. It'll be a stronger plant in the long run. Over here is a Pachira aquatica, and you know, Pachira aquaticas are a common plant. You know, some people will call this plant a lucky tree plant. I do like the look of Pachira aquatica. One of my wish list plants is to find a variegated Pachira aquatica. Now this one right here is only for $35.98, and this is the braided form of a Pachira aquatica. I do like Pachira aquatica, or the money tree plant. It's just a plant that does need bright indirect light. It can be spider mite prone, so you want to try to make sure you stay on top of the pest preventatives. I always say if you have some type of neem oil spray, or if you water the plant by using your shower head or something that will get all of the leaves wet, that can wash away a lot of these pests. But look at how beautiful the leaf shape is. Look at how lush and full this Pachira aquatica is. And that's what makes like big box store plant shopping fun for me, especially when you get lucky like myself, where you find a restock of plants. There are quite a bit of plants to pick from. Most of them are actually Costa Farms. You know, I mentioned this in some of my other videos, but one of my dreams is to actually be able to visit the Costa Farms farms, you know, or nurseries out in Florida. That would be so cool to just see their production and just see their plants in general. I've seen a few YouTubers actually get a chance to do that, so we'll see. But anyways, here is another Costa Farms plant. This is a Dracaena Massangiana. or the cane Dracaena. This is another plant that most people will use as like an interior design plant. It is a common plant that you will find in like businesses, like a corporate type setting. I wouldn't mind adding that to my houseplant collection. I just don't see a lot of people really adding Dracaenas to their houseplant collection. You know, most people will tend to go for the aeroids like the philodendrons, syngoniums, those types of things, anthuriums, but I do like the Dracaena. Now over here is a Dutch staghorn fern, or Platycerium. Really like this one as well. Now this is in an 8-inch hanging basket by Costa Farms for $20.98. This is what you call the Exotic Angels hanging basket. I do prefer the smaller 6.5-inch hanging baskets versus these larger ones. And over here we've got some type of Hydra helix. Everybody's favorite plant, foldy plant. This is an English ivy, or the correct way to say it is Hedera helix. For those that are new to this channel, I say Hydra helix intentionally because that's how I used to pronounce it. It was really a mispronunciation of Hedera helix. Thank you to the plant foldy for, you know, correcting me on that a little while back, but it kind of stuck around, and so I'm just gonna keep Hydra helix. Like, I like the sound of Hydra helix, and I am going to be designing a Grow Folds t-shirt that has Hydra helix. I think that is a staple, so stay tuned for that. Now, plant foldies, you can see right here, we do have some more self-watering planters of Aglaonema red Siam. I really like the look of that as well. This one is for $15.98. As I've mentioned this in all my videos that I've shown Aglaonema red Siam, if you are watching my videos, if you have rare plants, uncommon plants, or starting a plant collection, buy yourself an Aglaonema red Siam. It is an easy to care for plant. I do think that Aglaonemas in general are so underrated. And there's really not a lot of talk about Aglaonemas. I think more so Aglaonemas are a little bit more commonly discussed in like the other side of the world, like the Southeast Asian countries, but I think everybody should get into Aglaonemas. And then as you can see over here, plant foldies, this Lowe's location has quite a bit of plants. I'm going to look at some more of this hanging basket. So this one is actually on clearance. This is a glauca plant right here, so it's 50% off. Look at how tiny the leaves are. Now this plant, I don't know a lot about the care conditions, but what I can say is this plant probably needs to be watered a little bit more frequently than the typical house plant. So just make sure you do provide it with a lot of water, or enough water to where it doesn't just dry out completely. Please correct me if I'm wrong about the plant care tips, but I've been told that glauca need to be frequently watered. So that's, you know, some of my care tips for that. And then as you can see over here, again, plant foldies, we've got another Hydra helix, or another Hedera helix right over here. Now, this one, let's take a look at the plant ID. This is the Ingrid Liz Ivy. And what I like about it is the leaves are a little bit more sharp and narrow, and it has more of a silver variegation to it. I'm actually curious for Costa Farms to see how many different varieties of Hedera helix they have. There was a Lowe's further down south near Dallas that actually had a lot of different varieties of Hedera helix. If I didn't know that Hedera helix, or English ivy, was probably one of the more challenging plants to grow indoors, I probably would have collected all of them because there's so many different varieties. And I think that that's the disappointing part about it, is because I really do like English ivy. I like the leaf shape. They remind me of maples, and they have so many cool variegations of it. But unfortunately, when you grow them indoors, at least in my care, they always end up with spider mites, and they just don't do well for me. Now over here is another hanging basket. This one is a lemon button fern, and plant foldies, I see this particular fern quite often, and I'm just curious to see if anybody actually grows this. It looks like an easy to care for fern. I am a little bit weary about just taking care of fern because, as I've said in all of my other videos, I tend to be a plant parent that doesn't really water nearly as much as I should for plants. And that's partly because of the amount of time I have invested for my plants. I have a very demanding job, and I just have a lot of things going on, you know, balancing YouTube, and, you know, this is the same spiel, but when you have to film for about an hour, edit for another hour, wait for another hour, there's just a lot going on. And sometimes my plants, which should be the center of my attention, kind of take the back burner when it comes to something as basic as watering. Now over here is a rainbow moss. This one is for $20.98. Now this is definitely a plant I cannot put in my plant collection because it needs to be consistently watered. It needs to stay moist and wet. And unfortunately, that is not the environment that I can provide for this particular plant. Now this one right here is another plant I need to add to my collection at some point. This is a strawberry begonia. And what I like about the strawberry begonia is there is a variegated variety, but even this variety right over here is quite easy to take care of. It does need to be watered a little bit more frequently, but it is a plant that shoots out a lot of little babies. It's similar to what I would say like a spider plant, where it shoots out a lot of babies that you can chop and propagate. I really love that plant as well. It's got a nice silver foliage about it. And then we have even more Costa Farms plants. So here is an Trending Tropicals Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos, and this is also for $19.98. Now with lemon meringue pothos, this is more of a mutation from the global green pothos. You can tell that it is a lemon meringue pothos by two things. Number one, the yellow variegation on the green, and number two, the leaves tend to be a little bit smaller. It is one of the more slower growing pothos plants, but you can see here, this is a decent variegated lemon meringue pothos. If you do not provide it enough light, like bright indirect light, it will most likely be more of a green tone. You're definitely not going to see the yellow variegation. This is a plant, or an example of a plant, that relies on light to influence the type of variegation you get. More bright indirect light, better variegation. Less light, it's going to be more so green, or even can revert all the way back to green. So just make sure your lighting conditions are good for that. And then over here for $15.98 is a 6-inch self-watering planter of golden pothos. This one isn't as variegated as some of the golden pothos I've seen, but needless to say, this is the OG classic house plant. If you also don't have this in your collection, I would recommend adding it, because it's an easy plant. It's a plant that you can easily propagate and multiply, and it's just easy. Now over here again, we have a bunch of like Trending Tropicals, Philodendron Pink Princess by Costa Farm. You can see that there is a half moon leaf just unfurling. It hasn't even fully hardened. The only thing I will say about Philodendron Pink Princess, in order to really differentiate the difference between a tissue cultured produced Philodendron Pink Princess and one that was propagated from a cutting from the original Philodendron Pink Princess, is the leaves. You can see these are most likely tissue cultured Philodendron Pink Princess, because the leaves are a little bit more narrow. Now, if you find a Philodendron Pink Princess that has darker foliage and rounder, larger leaves, that's most likely not going to be a tissue culture plant. Now, I don't really have issues with tissue culture. I think that's the reason why a lot of these plants are affordable. And for those that don't know what a tissue culture plant is, it's basically a plant that was scientifically created in a lab to be reproduced quickly. It's not one that where you would just take a cutting from a plant and propagate it. They literally can produce hundreds and thousands of these plants by through tissue culture. And that's the reason why we're seeing a lot of these plants in the market, especially these rare anthuriums, these rare philodendron, just all of these plants that used to be very unattainable. Now they've had a lot of mass production. I would say Philodendron Pink Princess is a prime example. I would say Philodendron Ring of Fire is a prime example. Philodendron White Princess. All of those plants that you see in these big box stores are most likely tissue culture. Just a little spiel about that, but you can see here plant foldies. I love seeing nice lush green plants like that. That's a fiddle fig leaf, or a ficus lyrata. And we're just going to spin around here and take a look at some more of these other plants. I will say thank you to everybody. Yesterday I celebrated 10,000 YouTube subscribers. So I started this journey about 9 months ago, if that, doing daily plant shopping videos, and our plant foldy community has really grown. So I wanted to take the time, plant foldies, to say say thank you. We finally reached 10,000 subscribers, and it's because you literally tune in every evening to watch my live premieres. People chat on the live premieres. You guys hit the like button, and I always say, if you really want to support me, it only takes half a second to hit that like button for my videos. It really signifies to YouTube that there is engagement, which actually helps push the content out to more plant lovers like yourself, and then even people going in and leaving so many different comments for me to engage. So I wouldn't have been able to get 10,000 subscribers had you guys not stuck around with me. And for all of my new plant foldies, I hope you enjoy the content. I am going to be diversifying the content and really showing you more of my personal plants. I'm going to be doing a houseplant tour. I'm going to be doing some more blogs. I will be doing plant care tips. All of that is in store for sure. Now, plant foldies, as you can see right here, Costa Farms always produces these exotic angel planters. Now, these ones are the 5.5-inch planters. Like, this is a Sunny Star Croton for $7.98. I do love crotons. There's so many different varieties. The thing about crotons is they are very finicky plants, especially when they're smaller. Now, if they are in a tropical country like the Philippines, for instance, they literally don't even need any plant care. They can just grow outside on the side of the road, in the middle of a jungle, and they can grow up to like 10, 15 feet in height, and they have such beautiful coloration. For plant care tips, however, for a croton like this, you need to provide it with quite a bit of bright indirect light. It will not do well if it doesn't get enough light. Honestly, if you are able to grow them outdoors, even in full sun, they will do very well. They will size up. They'll be a lot happier. Now, crotons also do not want to be overwatered, but they also do not want to be underwatered. So what you need to do is just make sure you stay on top of the watering. If you have them growing outside, they're a little bit more forgiving with the watering. So literally you can water them every day, because plants that live outside typically dry out a lot faster than if you were to keep them indoors. And then over here, we've got a Syngonium Berry Illusion. That one is for $7.98 by Costa Farms again. And then you can see right over here, another croton plant. This one is a croton batik. Beautiful speckling on the leaves. This one's also for $7.98. I really want to grow crotons. Like, I want to have a croton collection. But at the moment, I have so many plants that I'm trying to stabilize and, you know, actually keep things organized. But maybe next year I might delve into growing crotons. The only thing about crotons is, especially since I want to grow them outdoors, it is going to be a bit of a challenge to grow them or overwinter them, because they definitely need to go inside. That's one thing I will say about crotons. Like, this one right here is a croton Petra. This one's $7.98. Crotons do not tolerate conditions where it can get cold very quickly. Once they get a cold spill, they will definitely drop their leaves. Now, they can recover and grow back leaves, but they definitely don't like colder weather. And that's the thing about my grow zone, which is 8B. You know, I am based out in North Dallas. You have to be really mindful about your temperature for that particular plant. It is a tropical plant. And then over here, another tropical plant. This is a Syngonium Maria. $7.98. What I like about Syngonium Maria is it's a dark foliage type Syngonium. The thing about Syngonium Maria is, if you really want to see the darker foliage, like the deep brown chocolate look about it, you want to provide it with quite a bit of light. What's interesting is the coloration is actually influenced by the amount of light you give the Syngonium Maria. Now, over here is another easy to care for plant, $7.98, and this is called a Dracaena Dorado. Now, Dracaena Dorado doesn't have nearly as compact of a growth habit as some of the other Dracaenas. Dracaenas are also known as a dragon tree plant. There's many varieties, but this particular one can grow up to 4 to 5 feet in height. So it is a plant that is low light tolerant, and in the keyword plant foldies is it is low light tolerant. So if you're able to give it better lighting, again, you want to make sure you're giving it better lighting. But I did want to revisit this again. I love Syngoniums, and I'm glad that some of my Syngoniums that I have truly neglected are starting to bounce back. I took them outside, and that's the thing, plant foldies. If you ever have a plant that has been treated for pests, if you ever had a plant that you chopped up because it got leggy, or just a plant that's just struggling to push out new growth, trust and believe. Take it outside, put it in a shaded area that gets light, and it will grow. It just will grow a lot easier. It will rehabilitate itself. It has always happened for me. I literally had a couple of plants on the brink of death, and you give it about a month outside and it doesn't even look like there was any issues with the plant. I've been doing it a lot with some of my fussier, alocasia, and my alocasias are doing fine. They're actually growing at a faster pace. But you can see here, I mean, this Syngonium Maria, I don't know if I should buy it. Now, if it was like half off, I would buy that in a heartbeat. I don't feel like $7.98 is really in my budget to purchase a Syngonium, because plant foldies, you already know, we've been talking about this. I am so excited to go to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, August 31st, September 1st, to meet everybody. And I have been saving every penny I can possibly save to buy all of these really cool plants. I look forward to meeting all of the plant foldies. We're hoping to do a plant foldy meetup around 11 at PETA's Planters. Obviously, plant foldies, if you can't make it at that time, send me a message on Instagram. I'll try to meet up with you, because I'll pretty much be at PlantCon all day. I plan on filming a bunch of plants, charging my iPhone to make sure I have battery, putting some of my plant content that I film onto my iPad. That way I can have hours and hours of PlantCon videos. And you can see right here, plant foldies. There's just so many hanging baskets of Costa Farms Exotic Angels. This one is a lipstick plant. This one is for $20.98. And, as far as hanging baskets, I really want to be able to grow hanging baskets. I'm actually curious, plant foldies, if you grow a lot of hanging baskets, and if so, what type of plants do you grow in hanging baskets? What is your care tips for that? Because you can see right here, this is another beautiful Hydra Helix. I love me some Hydra Helix. Look at how beautiful this Hedera Helix, that's the correct way to say it, $20.98. And you can see that this one is actually super healthy. There are some new growth, some new leaves coming out of it. And that's the thing, it's so deceiving because it looks like a hardy plant, but that is a plant that if you don't give it enough bright light, if you don't water it consistently, if you just don't give it the right outdoor environment conditions, it will just not do well. Now over here is a Polynesian ivy, and actually I think this is such a cool looking plant. What I like about it is obviously it's got a dark foliage about it, but it has the potential to be easily propagate it. You can just take cuttings, stick it in water, and it should root fairly easily. I do like the rubbery texture about it. It looks like the leaves are a little bit more durable. This is a plant that I may eventually add to my plant collection. For now, it's just one plant that I'm going to admire from afar. There's a lot of plants from Costa Farms that they constantly release that makes me want to purchase them. There are a few plants though that I am going to give up on trying to grow in my indoor space. One of them would be a Balfouriana Aralia, or a variegated Aralia. I am on number 4 and it's just not doing well for me. Now, this one is a plant that I should have given up on number 14, because I've sent 14 of these Hydra Helix to Plant Heaven, but I don't know, there's something about it. Am I the only one that likes English ivy, or am I just crazy in a sense that that's just an obsession I have with the English ivy? But it's so beautiful. I love the leaves. I feel like when you think of a house plant, you think about an English ivy, or at least growing up, people grew English ivies and it was not a thing. I don't know if it just has become spider mite prone over the years, but that's just a plant, gosh, I wish I could grow. Now, plant foldies, this is an easy to care for plant. This is a Syngonium white butterfly. This is for $5.98. The thing about Syngonium, so we're going to talk a little bit more about Syngoniums. They are a plant that can get leggy. They prefer to actually climb. So you can see that it's got a little bit of a clump. What I would suggest is once the Syngonium starts to want to climb, if you want it to be more of a full plant, I would take cuttings, water propagate it, get an inch or 2 of water propagated roots, and stick it back into the mother plant, and it will just be a little bit more full. Now over here, look at this. This is another croton, and this croton right here is already root bound. You can see that the roots are just popping out. I am curious if anybody has ever grown crotons in semi-hydroponics. Have you grown it in LECA or pond, or have you just taken a croton plant and grown it in like straight hydroponics, just straight water? Really curious. And plant foldies, if you do or are considering it, please leave your thoughts in the comments. Again, plant foldies, I am all about just really trying to understand what type of plants you guys have, what kind of plants you like, how is your collection doing? So please leave as many comments about that. Now, as you can see right here, we've got a parlor palm, and this is actually pretty cute. This one is also for $5.98. And that's the thing, plant foldies at a big box store. And that's the reason why I love going to big box stores, especially big box stores with healthy plants from Costa Farms when they do a restock, because it's so tempting to want to purchase everything. Like this one right here is a purple waffle plant. Love the dark foliage. I love the purple undersides. The problem is this plant needs a lot of water. It also prefers higher humidity. These are two things that I can't naturally get in my home. Like it would just be a little bit more effort. Like obviously I can buy a humidifier, stick it next to it, water it, and it should be fine. But that's even more effort than I want to put. And then over here, $12.98, another beautiful Dieffenbachia. And when I say that I have a newfound love for Dieffenbachia, I just know that they can become massive, large plants, but they're absolutely beautiful. And really, I feel like Dieffenbachia, when you provide it with higher humidity and brighter light, they do very well. I've seen so many large ones in the Philippines. So plant foldies, if you actually haven't seen my Philippines plant video, please check out my playlist of Philippines plants under plant tourism. You can binge it. I would love for you to do that. And that's the thing, plant foldies. The reason why I do some of these 1 hour plant shopping videos is I love to talk. I love to ramble on about plants. And if you ever feel lonely or if you need some type of company, go ahead and binge my videos. Rewatch some of my plant marathon compilations. They're like 3 hours long. If you're doing your plant chores and you just need somebody to talk about plants to get you through your plant chores, definitely watch my videos. And I've been told that people actually have done that. I appreciate that. Your viewership not only helps my channel grow, but it also helps my plant budget grow, because through some of y'all's support, your viewership, I've been able to get some more plant supplies. I've been able to get some more plant sponsorships, all of that. And it's because you guys watch my videos. So again, thank you, plant foldies. 10,000 subscribers. I'm hoping we can get another 10,000 subscribers in the next half a year, but that really lies upon whether you continue to watch my videos all the way through. If you have social media, please share that with your friends that love plants. But again, going back to the plants here, the thing about going to this Home Depot for me, which is off of Preston Road in Frisco, Texas. So if you're ever in that area, definitely check it out. This is one of the better Lowe's locations. Like this one right here is an interesting 6.5 inch planter hanging basket of Chester fern, $16.98. But this Lowe's has always been consistent in terms of just how many plants they have. Sometimes this Lowe's actually has so many plants that they've actually had to have like pallets and pallets of plants. I also like the fact that they keep their plants super healthy. Every time I go out to the outdoor section, for instance, they are consistently watering them. Even when I pick up some of these hanging basket plants, you can tell that they were just recently watered because they're a little bit heavy. Like this one right here, as many times as I wanted to buy this teddy bear vine, for instance, I just know that it's not in my budget at that moment to purchase it, but it is another beautiful plant that eventually I will grow. Because at the end of the day, teddy bear vine, that is a common plant. So don't feel pressure to purchase a plant. Now, I will say certain plants, I definitely feel like I regret not purchasing, but like teddy bear vine, that's something you can find. Now over here for $30.98 are bonsai plants from Costa Farms. The only thing I will say about Costa Farms bonsai plants is I feel like they're more what you call pre-bonsai. And what I mean by pre-bonsai is it's basically a plant that you can potentially trim and shape into a beautiful miniature tree. There's just not enough shape for me. And also the planters, when you think about bonsai, they need to be more of a shallow container. Needless to say, I'm still thankful that Costa Farms has delved into so many other plant species besides like tropical aroids. They also get into succulents and cactus. They also have gone and done bonsai. So I love that. Now over here is a plant that I would also buy, and this is actually the size I would like to buy it, is a 6.5-inch planter, prayer plant or a marantha. This one is for $16.98. Now, if this was only $8, I would buy this one in a heartbeat. The thing about prayer plants or marantha is they can be a little bit finicky. You want to make sure that you keep their soil moist. They prefer to have higher humidity. And then over here, this is another hanging basket of Syngonium. I believe this is either a Syngonium white butterfly or potentially a Syngonium holly. The more bright light you provide it, the better coloration this particular Syngonium is going to get. I have been super excited in the fact that a lot of my Syngoniums that I have started watering consistently in the shower have pushed out a lot of growth. My Syngoniums actually sit in front of my master bedroom window facing the west facing window, so they get a lot of light, but their leaves are doing very well. They're not getting scorched or burned. Now over here is a Fittonia, a pink Fittonia of some sort. This one's actually in bloom. This one is for $16.98. And what's interesting about this Fittonia is obviously it is happy because it is blooming. And that's the thing about a lot of these plants. Whenever you see a tropical plant or a plant in bloom, it means that it's gotten mature or it has the right growing conditions to where it feels like it can reproduce itself. The downside is whenever you grow a plant that has flowers, like specifically like Aglaonema, you don't want to keep the blooms on the plant because the plant will spend more energy actually growing the blooms versus the foliage. Now over here though, for this anthurium, this blooming anthurium for $13.98, you can keep the blooms on there because for some reason that particular anthurium will still produce a lot of foliage. And then I wanted to show you this. These are several different types of bromeliads by Costa Farms, and you can see right here, this is for $13.98. I like this one right here. Look at how beautiful that pink variegation is on this particular bromeliad. Again, plant foldies, $13.98. And this is the reason why I would dub Costa Farms as one of the premier plant nurseries to really source out big box store plants. We should be super thankful that they have been able to get a lot of these exotic plants at affordable prices. Like, I mean, you can see right here, there's another version of another bromeliad. So, bromeliads, I haven't been as big of a fan when I first started doing plant shopping videos, but again, plant foldies, you can see that bromeliads come in different colors, and I just love that they have different growth patterns as well. Like this was the one I have in my plant collection for $13.98. It's got a really nice like purple pattern on the green. And the thing about bromeliads is they're fairly easy to take care of. I know that you want to keep them watered consistently, but they can tolerate not being watered as frequently, which on my care tips or my care that I give my plants, that actually works well for what I do with my plants. And then you can see right over here, this isn't a terracotta planter. This is another type of bromeliad. It doesn't look nearly as lush or healthy as some of the ones from Costa Farms. And then we talk about another plant supplier for a lot of big box stores. Urban Jungle has really stepped it up in terms of their plants and the new planters. Like this right here is a philodendron moonlight, and this one is for $22.98. I really like the very beige, natural looking planter. And obviously this is a beautiful plant. I love neon color plants. I love yellow plants. I love that aurea look about it. And I like philodendron that are more clumping. So this particular philodendron doesn't necessarily need to climb up a totem pole or a moss pole. It becomes it gets larger leaves just because it likes to clump. Now this one is for, I believe, $22.98. The thing about it is I want to buy the one from Green Acres nursery out in Melissa, Texas, because it was probably 4 times larger than that for $50. So sometimes you want to spend money on a plant that is already large just for the instant gratification. Now, some people will buy plants. I'm the same way, where I will pick up a plant that's small and just grow it out. I think that's the reason why we grow plants, right? Is to grow them out. But sometimes for like aesthetics, interior design, or just instant gratification, we just end up splurging a little bit more money on just buying a large plant. And you can see that is a calathea. And then over here again is some type of anthurium. This might be an anthurium sebum. Beautiful plant. This one is by Urban Jungle. I've also seen this in a self-watering planter by Live Trends. I do like the inundation of the Urban Jungle letters there. I really like that a lot. You know, with Urban Jungle, I wouldn't say that their planters are as stylish as Live Trends, but they're kind of in the middle of like Costa Farms and Live Trends. Like I feel like Costa Farms definitely has more plants to pick from. I feel like there's more variety and the plant pricing is great. But Urban Jungle is a really nice plant provider as well. Like you can see right here for $22.98. This is a Homolamina, and I said it correctly, Homolamina Shelby. I do like the velvety texture of the leaves. It almost reminds me of a Dieffenbachia, to be honest. This is a plant, however, from all the Homolaminas to be a little bit more finicky. If you can provide it with a little bit more humidity, you want to make sure that you're consistently watering it. It'll give you that beautiful coloration on the leaves. Like it's got a minty green, a lime green tone about it, and it's velvety. What else do we have here? We have another Urban Jungle plant. This one is a juvenile Monstera deliciosa. So Monstera deliciosas are a staple for a plant collection. Just remember, these plants can get very massive in like a year or two. So you want to pre-plan whether you're going to have the space for a Monstera deliciosa. I do like the juvenile leaves on a Monstera deliciosa. I just wish it wouldn't fenestrate sometimes and just give you that heart-shaped leaf. But as I pan away here, plant foldies, what do you think about the Urban Jungle plants? I mean, I just love them. And then here's another one right here, $22.98. This is just an Aglonema red Siam. You really need to buy this plant foldies. Let me know if you have. Let me know if a plant influenced you, because it is a plant. I just feel like Aglonemas, guys, plant foldies. We need to just get more awareness about Aglonemas. Now over here is a Thenanthe plant right here. I actually got one also at Lowe's for 50% off, and it's doing very well. For a Thenanthe, it actually tolerates a little bit of underwatering, which is cool because mostly you want to keep the soil wet. Now this Alpina plant, I think that's what it's called. I do find this interesting. I did get it, but this is another plant that I thought was drought tolerant. It is not. You want to make sure that you water it consistently, because if you don't, the tips would get brown, and it's not as hardy of a plant as I thought it would be. Now, it's still a beautiful plant. It's a plant that maybe I may potentially add to my plant collection, but it's one of those that I just kind of hold off on. I don't feel bad though when I bought it, because I ended up getting it for 99 cents. Same size plant actually, but I bought it at a local grocery store called Sprouts. And that's the thing, plant foldies, especially at grocery stores, you can find some very inexpensive plants because grocery stores will literally mark them down to liquidate them and just get them out of their system. Now over here is another type of Anthurium. Not sure if this is a Sebrum as well, but look at how cool the texture of the leaves are. Now these ones are by Live Trends. You can see that it's a Live Trends planter. It is a self-watering planter. It has the quintessential fake moss that Live Trends uses for the top dressing. I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I wish they would like use maybe orchid bark or something of that nature, but you know, to each its own. And then over here is another Live Trends plant. This one is some type of Alocasia. It has some yellowing on it, so I'm not sure if it has a plant pest like spider mites or thrifts, but that's something you want to keep an eye out whenever you're doing big box store plant shopping. You want to make sure that you inspect the undersides of the leaves, the stems, the nodes, the surface of the soil, the bottom of the drainage holes, to see if you see anything that doesn't seem, or at least has hints of a plant pest. I mean, over here, this Dracaena looks perfectly healthy. Really like that a lot. It is in a self-watering planter. Now, these ones are only for $14.98. This one is a smaller Philodendron Moonlight, so you can see that you can pick up a smaller variety, but for me, I just want to get a large Philodendron Moonlight. $50 at Green Acres Nursery and Supply. And Plant Foldies, if you haven't seen that video, I just recently premiered it. It has some beautiful plants, rare and uncommon plants for a very good price. So I'm debating actually Plant Foldies, $16.98 for this Syngonium. There's so many Syngonium plants in this one. Look at how lush and full it is. I do like the green variegation, and its leaves are actually a little bit more miniature. It's not as large, and so I like the texture of that, because with Syngoniums, they can actually get fairly large leaves, and I like the fact that this is super clumpy and there's just a lot of foliage around it. I just don't know if I really want to spend $16.98. But it is one that if I were to pick any plant today so far, I would buy this. Now, plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you would have bought this Syngonium or if you wouldn't have bought this Syngonium. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And let's just keep looking at these plants right over here. So we've got some Australian fern, kangaroo fern, and then we have this right here, another Live Trends Calathea, $14.98. This is a Rospicta. Mine is about to make it to plant heaven. Even though it is growing hydroponically, I thought I found a hack to grow Calatheas, but alas, they still get spider mites. So here is a really cool supply of your perfect study buddy. These are so cool. I thought these were Live Trends planters, but these are actually from Costa Farms. These are really cute. So they've got a planter that has a study buddy, and these are featuring succulent plants. These are for $7.98, super cute. And you know, with back to school, back to college season in August, just this month, there are many people, many kids, many college students that might need a piece of greenery to add to their desks, their offices, just anywhere that you would need a plant. And I would think that this is a perfect study buddy. $7.98, super cute. The only thing is, like this Echeveria right here, I'm actually proud of myself. I'm starting to be able to identify succulent plants. You want to make sure that you are providing you with quite a lot of bright light for them to really be sustainable, unless it is a Haworthia. Now, here are some more Costa Farm plants. I do like the planters of this. I wish that there wasn't any texture on the planters. Like this one is a Belgian waffle plant for $9.98. That's actually not a bad price at all, considering you do get a stylish planter. Costa Farms is continuing to elevate their plants, not only their plants and the diversity of plants they offer at a big box store, but also their planters. I just hope and wish that Costa Farms will also look at some of the more minimalistic options for planters. I know that the new trending tropicals self-watering planters are literally matte finishes with no texture, and that is what I love. Now over here is a Epipremnum aureum, Golden Pothos. I do like the terracotta look or the color of it. This one is highly variegated. It's also for $9.98. And then you can see right here, Dracaena White Jewel. So this is actually one that I would also potentially buy from this big box store right here. Look at how beautiful that variegation is for a Dracaena. And again, this is a Dracaena that can grow at a moderate pace. It is a plant that doesn't grow as quickly, but it's an easy to care for plant. And you can see right here, this is another type of Hydra Helix, or another English ivy. Look at this one. This one is interesting because it's actually got more narrow leaves, and that one is for $9.98. And I actually find this croton super beautiful. This is a Mamai croton for $9.98. It looks like it's on fire. The leaves look like it's flames. What a cool looking plant. And I don't know, all of these plants that Costa Farms just releases in these little shippers, I love. Like this one right here is a Batik croton plant for $9.98. And as far as the color of the planter, that navy blue, very classy, very stylish, very elegant, very much a cool look for Costa Farms. And Costa Farms, I would just say anybody who ever watches it that works for Costa Farms, I really want to commend you guys for just continuing to give us plant lovers all of these available plants to pick up. Like this one right here is a Spathiphyllum or peace lily. Very easy plant to take care of, super low light tolerant. The only thing is it needs a lot of water. So it's one of those plants that are super dramatic, but as you can see right here, you can create your green space with Costa Farms. Those are actually making their way to a lot of these big box stores. I would say mostly Lowe's. And you know, if I had to pick between Lowe's, Walmart, and Home Depot, I would say Lowe's for the most part tends to have the most diversity when it comes to just Costa Farms plant, Live Trends planters, and Urban Jungle. But I will shop all big box stores for certain plants. I mean, you can see here, we even have some of these Syngoniums. These ones are by Live Trends again. This one is just some type of pink Syngonium. Now with the pink varieties of syngoniums, if you provide it with more bright light, they tend to have better coloration of pink. I am a sucker for pink plants. I love pink. You know, somebody's mentioned to me before that pink might be my favorite color. It could be, but it really just varies. I just like all the colors, but when it comes to plants, I prefer pink plants, dark foliage plants, and neon colored plants. Now this is for $18.98, and this is what you would call a hydroponic setup for a Dracaena Janacrae compacta. I think it's more of a water propagation if you ask me. And then you can see right over here we have a beautiful Epiprimno Aureum Neon Pothos by Live Trend. So this is a new planter that they have featured. Look at how beautiful the neon colors are on this pothos plant. It's hard for me to say if this is my favorite pothos. I really like all pothos, but look at how that light hits it. The more light you give that pothos plant, the better neon coloration it'll give. And then over here is another Live Trends hanging basket. This one is for $26.98. It's a newer one. This one is a Monstera Adansonii, and I like Monstera Adansonii. I just haven't been able to grow them consistently. I recently was able to get a Monstera Adansonii variegated tricolor Japanese version from Fitzgerald Tropicals. They are a local grower out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So thankful they gifted me one. But I'm also excited to announce that I will be getting a Aurea version of a Monstera Adansonii. So think of a neon pothos, but a Monstera or Adansonii. So that's really cool. I will be getting that in the mail soon. And then over here, plant foldies, I'm just gonna look at some of these 6.5-inch hanging baskets. I can't really reach them, but this one right here is an Epiprimno Aureum Pearls and Jade Pothos, $16.98. We've got a teddy bear vine. We've got a Philodendron Hederaceum, just green form, another teddy bear vine, and then we have some more strawberry begonias kind of lurking around, and more teddy bear vines, and then some type of fern. We've got a Phalaenopsis orchid bloom here. I will say a lot of these Phalaenopsis orchids are not in bloom, so I'm just waiting to see once they get a restock of that. But I wouldn't mind purchasing some of these Phalaenopsis orchids when they're not in bloom if I can get a really good clearance price for them. I only have one Phalaenopsis orchid currently, and that is a variegated one. I'm waiting for it to rebloom. But plant foldies, as you can see right here, look at how super full this Lowe's is. I'm going to definitely go into detail a little bit more on some of these plants. I am excited to kind of see where we're at in terms of the other plants that we're going to get restocks on. I mean, you can see right here, this is a trending tropicals Epiprimnum alplicimum or silver streak pothos for $19.98. Look at the streaks on that pothos plant. Really nice color. Very happy that another plant foldie that I met in person, Gloria, thank you for getting me one of these. Just getting a propagation of it. And again, plant foldies, if you ever want to save money on plants, sometimes sharing cuttings with friends, plant propagation, plant trades, that is one way to grow your collection. Now, this is for $22.98. I've been seeing this a lot, plant foldies, at big box stores where you have a mixed planter of different types of tropical plants. How do you guys feel about it? Do you like it? I'm not as big of a fan for it because I feel like when you put a mixed planter of tropical plants, you have to be cognizant of like the actual plant care that each one has. You have to look at whether they need more light, whether they need more different watering conditions. Like this one right here is another one by Costa Farms, $24.98. So they've got a croton plant, a parlor palm. We've got a Chiflera plant, and then we also have a Marble Queen pothos and a Palea Dark Galaxy plant. So there's just a lot of different plants. It's a nice arrangement, but I just don't know if it's one that you'd be able to keep all of the plants alive, because you got to think they're also going to grow. So are they going to outgrow their mixed planter? But you know, some people want to give those as gifts. I would prefer, if you're going to buy me a gift though, plant foldies, I would love another Aglaonema like this. So this one, I don't know the specific Aglaonema name. This is for $19.98. Self-watering planter, tropical plant. This is a Trending Tropicals by Costa Farms, and you can see this one is in bloom, so I would definitely cut that bloom off so that this plant will grow more leaves. But look at how beautiful that red pink tone is. That's the thing though about Costa Farms aglaonemas. I wish they would give us the specific plant ID for that aglaonema. I hope that Costa Farms will actually have more aglaonemas as Trending Tropicals. For a while I didn't really see a lot of restocks, so this might be their new batch where they just had a bunch available. Aglaonemas remains to be in my top 3 plants of what I want to grow in my plant collection, because they are fairly forgiving unless you just flat out neglect them for a month or so. That's what happened with my aglaonema. So if you refer back to a video where I imported a bunch of aglaonemas from Indonesia, I had some stunning super full aglaonemas. Well, you know, fast forward to 2024 July, August, where I literally didn't water them for either a month or 2, and yeah, that's just, you know, plant that they just didn't do well. There are some that I was able to salvage. I'm waiting to see if I can rehab them, but I've learned my lesson with aglaonemas, plant foldies. Even though they are drought tolerant, you still have to water them. And I have to laugh at myself, sort of. It's embarrassing to say, but I just don't water my plants as much as I need to, and that is the most basic function of, you know, taking care of house plants. But you can see this one right here again, another aglaonema. Look at how beautiful the light hits it and how beautiful the colors are. This one is also for $15.98. Aglaonema Red Siam. We've got a bunch of peace lilies here, or spathiphyllum, also from Costa Farms, $15.98. And then we also have this beautiful and common, or at least commonly found, Aglaonema Silver Bay. The thing about aglaonemas though is you do need to water them, but over watering them. So if you're an over waterer, somebody that wants to water your plants like every day, twice a day, do not get aglaonemas, because their roots will rot. When you touch the aglaonema's roots, actually, it's more of like a succulent texture. They're very thick, and that's the reason why they can be a little bit more drought tolerant. Now, plant foldies, I will come back to the indoor tropical plants, but I did want to show you what happens when it's about to be fall. Look at these displays at a big box store. Absolutely love it. They got the hay, and then they also got fall plants that are typical that in the fall you will see a bunch of chrysanthemums. Although I am surprised, plant foldies, look at this. More desert rose are actually appearing at big box stores. So I thought it was just Home Depot. We now have them at Lowe's, and you know, with desert rose, I think they're stunning. I think that I want to buy some at PlantCon. I want to find a variegated version, but you can see this one right here. The caudex is actually spread. It's kind of like sitting there, and I think that's really cool. What I would do actually is maybe even put this in a shallow container. Now with desert rose, a couple of things you need to keep in mind. They need to be in full sun or get lots of light. They are a succulent plant, so you do not want to overwater them. That is the fastest way to kill them, is to overwater them. And they're very toxic. So in a sense that if you do cuttings or trim it, you want to make sure that the sap doesn't touch your hands, because it can irritate it. But to go on to these displays, you can see that mums or chrysanthemums are in stock, ready to go. And what's really cool is you can plant these in the landscape. They are perennials. They will come back year after year. And look at how beautiful these yellow ones are. These are for $7.98. They need to be in full sun, but they're also a very thirsty plant, so you want to make sure you are consistently watering them. Now, places like Japan, and I mentioned this before because I love Japanese culture. You know, the reason why I call my my YouTube channel Grow Folds is because the grow part is mostly my plant content. The folds is actually in reference to my origami. So if you actually go through my old videos, like way back into my channel, I have several playlists of how to fold an origami paper crane. Now, how does that tune into chrysanthemums? Well, in Japan, chrysanthemums are actually called kiku, and they actually have festivals, chrysanthemum festivals, where they literally will hybridize a chrysanthemum, and these chrysanthemums could be up to like maybe like 2 feet in diameter as far as the bloom. They get huge blooms. So really interesting, and that's the reason why I do make references to Japanese culture like bonsai, origami, cherry blossoms, sushi, all of that, because I love Japanese culture. That's also something I do. I also like anime. That's something I wanted to let my viewers know. I know it's probably silly, but you know, some of my favorite anime, and I'm super excited, would be Sailor Moon. I grew up watching that. My favorite Sailor character is actually Sailor Saturn. But anyways, plant foliage, before I start talking more about my personal, you know, interests, I did want to go back to the plants, but I felt that maybe you guys might want to know a little bit more about me. You can see lots of beautiful chrysanthemums. Like, I really like that orange right in the middle of it, and then they've got the yellow. The thing about buying chrysanthemums, I would buy chrysanthemums that have not all of the blooms blooming yet. You want to wait till to buy, refrain from buying it, because then your blooms will last longer. It's the same thing with like Phalaenopsis orchids. Buy Phalaenopsis orchids where not all of the orchids have fully bloomed. You'll have a little bit longer time for it, versus like chrysanthemums too. Like, if you buy one that's already fully bloomed, you'll only have like maybe a week or two, and then the blooms will be spent. But plant foliage, we are back at it again, just looking at some more of these like indoor tropical plants. There are a couple more that I wanted to touch base on, but as you can see right here, this one is a live transplanter. I saw this about a week or two, so I'm glad that this plant is still healthy looking. This is an Alocasia pink dragon. You can see there are 2 corms or little babies that sprouted. This is a healthy plant. Now, this is for $22 or $24.98. I already have this Alocasia. It is a beautiful one. I mean, look at the veining of the leaves, the pink stems. And that's the thing about Alocasia's plant folies, is they do reproduce very quickly through corms. So that's something that you can share with others, is if you can get your Alocasias to produce babies, and you can separate it from the mother plant. $15.98. This is a self-watering planter of a fiddle fig leaf tree, or a Ficus lyrata. That's the smaller variety for $6, 6 inches. And then over here is a larger Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf. Now, these are all Costa Farms plants. This is for $24.98. That's actually not a bad price at all. And I remember that fiddle fig leaf used to be like the interior design, the it plant. Everybody had to have it in their homes. You know, they wanted a big fiddle fig leaf in their like high ceiling type home, very minimalistic, modern contemporary interior design. But the thing about it is, Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf is a challenging plant to grow indoors. They really do like higher humidity. They like light. In the Philippines, they can become as tall as 30 feet in height and grow in full sun. But indoors, they're very finicky, meaning if you put a Ficus lyrata, you need to make sure the fiddle fig leaf tree is put in a high light area. Do not move it, because it doesn't like to be moved around. It will definitely let you know when it's not happy. Ficus lyrata will drop its leaves, and then also you want to make sure you're maintaining consistent watering for that. Now, over here, plant folies, a classic easy to care for plant. So we're going to see over here. So this is a Pilea Pan Am. I actually have one of these. Surprised that I've been able to keep it alive, because it is a plant that prefers to be watered quite often. You don't really want the soil to dry out completely. With most Pilea plants, they prefer a higher humidity, but this one, it's doing okay for me, and I'm surprised, but I will take the win. And then plant folies right over here is a hanging basket of some high variegation Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. This is again another pothos plant. This is a plant that everybody needs to add. If you're a plant foldie that has been watching my plant shopping videos for at least the last 9 months, please leave in the comments right now if you actually have grown a pothos plant, if you like pothos plant, if you have a pothos plant, or if you plan on getting a pothos plant, because I'm recommending it. Very easy to care for plant. I would recommend it for any beginner or even advanced plant lover. Like this one right here is another hanging basket of a golden pothos. although this is for $16.98. So this one is a little bit pricey. I feel like you can go to Walmart and buy it for $9.97. Same setup. You know, a lot of these plants are sourced out by Costa Farms. I am curious to see if there's some more rare hybrids of pothos plants. If you've ever heard of the Toruno Japanese pothos series, definitely take a look at that, because those pothos are quite expensive. They're over $100 for like a one leaf, one node cutting. I'm not going to spend that on a pothos plant, because at the end of the day, pothos plants will reproduce very quickly. You just have to wait on that. But as you can see here, plant foldies, I am just so happy to finally see more pink plants from Costa Farms. Like, look at that leaf and that Aglaonema pink Siam. We've got some more pink Philodendron pink princess. I just love pink plants. You can see that there's some more green shield. I can't really say the actual name of that plant, but it is exciting to know that Costa Farms is pushing out more plants, at least this summer. And it's exciting because I really thought in the summertime, big box stores will just start downsizing on plants. So plant foldies, if you enjoyed this video today, please hit the like button. It truly helps me out. I will give you guys some more plant content this weekend. I will be filming some local plant nurseries. I will be uploading finally my collab with Cultivation Corner. As always, this is Richie at Growfold. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you tomorrow evening. Bye.